Welcome to WCS Basketball Game Day. I'm Darren Joines, Williamson County Schools Athletic Director. I'm here with my special guest host, Dr. Jeremy Qualls, former Athletic Director for Williamson County Schools, sitting in for Tate Matthews. Tate's on assignment. Dr. Qualls, listen, this was kind of your baby, getting this Media Day stuff started. You have to be pretty proud where you started and where we're at now.
Well, let's start with the obvious. Obvious is you're scraping the bottom of the barrel because everybody's on assignment. I get it. But let me say this. Not enough people say this publicly, or maybe they do, but I want you to know it. How proud I am of the fact that somebody like yourself has picked up and gone further than I can have taken it, and the things that you've gone and evolved and 2.0s of everything. I love it. We're at a new location, which is fantastic, how you keep mixing this thing up. And that's, it keeps that fresh feeling going. And I'm proud of it. You do a great job, and I'm proud that you're in this role.
Well, let me say this, and I appreciate those kind words. We got to get a couple of shout-outs back from your days. They still exist. They're still here with us. Walker Chevrolet.
Always.
Without Brock Daly and Walker Chevrolet, this doesn't happen. I also want to thank Adidas and Tate Matthews for what they do for us in the WCS Sports Conference. The folks at Mojo's. If you guys are out there watching and want to get down here, Mojo's in the factory, there's still plenty of time. They got great food, which we can attest to.
Chorizo and potato. You can't go wrong with that.
I like the burger taco.
Chorizo.
But you're, a marathoner and triathlete, and so yours sounds healthier. And then what about our group from OTL here tonight, Dr. Qualls?
Love them.
In the house helping.
Can't say enough about OTL. This is year 2. Christian Taylor's in the house. We love Christian. He's a household name. WCS Sports Conference. We talk about last year's OTL group, where they've gone. If you don't mind, let's take a second to talk about it. McKinley Johnston, you'll hear that last name tonight as we discuss basketball in the WCS Sports Conference. But, you got Mac at Samford working with
women's basketball.
You got Brooks Taylor, who's at Berkeley School of Film, man. That's like lower than 10% of all incoming freshmen even get into the program.
Southern California, University of Southern
California. You know what he did last week? What did he do? He was on the sideline shooting against the UCLA game. No, excuse me, the Cal game, and for the USC Trojan newspaper.
And did you notice, too, I'm sure you did, and we talked about it, they made a great graphic, and then there was a photo credit, Brooks Taylor on that.
And I know his dad's not proud of him at all.
No, he's not
as he's out here shooting pictures tonight.
Not at all.
And then Tia Atkinson. Tia's down at Florida State, crushing it. They've got her doing all kinds of stuff from not just sports, but entertainment and everything else. That's what OTL does. We see our OTL kids out here tonight. They're grinding, they're working, they're moving, setting up stuff, shooting pictures. It's pretty special, man.
It is special. We're proud of them. Looking forward to what they do the rest of this year and then moving forward as well. Again, we're at Mojo's Taco down here at the factory. We've got Basketball Media Day. Actually, basketball's gotten started already, Dr. Qualls. Had some games last night, but I want, if you don't mind, let's just go right through boys and girls. We're going to start with the girls. We're going to start in District 11 AAA. Brentwood, Centennial, Franklin. That's your WCS teams. Hillsboro, Overton make up that district. And I know you and I feel strongly about this, Dr. Qualls. For now, at least, Ravenwood is separate. Indy is separate. Nolensville is separate. That's not going to happen when you're talking a year from now. All these 8 teams will be back together.
I don't like it at all. Back when you were coaching, Coach Jay Johnson always said, WCS Sports Conference plus Dixon. That wasn't too bad at that time, right? We had Dixon, but now we're going across all this. I get it. We want to win games. We want our record to look good, but I think more importantly, 9 teams, include Fairview in the whole WCS Sports Conference, but in this case, 8 teams in one district. You want to be that district that everybody's like, you go back to our days of boys basketball. West Tennessee. There were teams that didn't make it out of Shelby County that could have won the AAA and AA state championships. Everybody knew the state championship ran through Memphis and Shelby County. This could be the case for us, man. I'm just telling you right now.
I think so, too. What I think it does, and it's all about trying to get to that ultimate level, it means that our district tournament now actually means something. If you've got a 5-team district, I would argue it doesn't mean that much to make the region when 4 out of 5 make it to the regional tournament. When you got 8, a little different.
You're asking for an incredible environment. Not only an incredible environment, Coach Joins, it reminds me back today, I think it was it may have been your first year. of when we had the fire marshal out Centennial with John Carter, Patrick,
Remember it well.
Grayson Murphy, and that bunch, right? That was not everybody at that point in time. Now you got 8 teams. You're going to need a new location for a district tournament.
Oh, I know where you're going.
And I got the perfect place for you. I think Chip would agree with me. An 8-team district tournament at the Ag Pavilion would be unheard of. I know
temporary floor.
I know Charles and the crew would love that. You'd have your student sections out on the floor, wristbands. Look, you got a media pit. You have a media pit down there, and you've got enough room to have an unbelievable atmosphere for an 8-team district tournament.
Well, I agree with you. We'll see if we get to that level, but I know you're a big dreamer.
I love it.
You always have been. That's why we've got this thing going. Now, let's talk about that district girls side. 11 AAA, our teams, Brentwood, Centennial, Franklin. Centennial, much improved. Second-year head coach, Bruce Hamilton, did a great job with that team last year. Knocked off Northeast last night. Franklin, new head coach, Rachel Hahn. You know, the thing that's really probably haunted Franklin, they've had a lot of different head coaches on that girls' side. Rachel's a young coach. She was an assistant coach last year. If she gets in there and gets some stability, that can be a great program. Coming off a 17-13 record last year, who I think is the cream of the crop from our district, or our teams at least, Brentwood High School, Marcel Williams. They lost Sydney Ryan, Caitlin Lorenzi, but they've got some folks back, including who I think is the best player on their team, Ella Ryan.
Well, that's the younger sister of Sydney Ryan.
That's
correct?
Right. Accurate.
Let's give a shout-out to Sydney Ryan, SoCon Player of the Week last week. She had a 25-point performance. I forget the team, but that's, she carried her WCS ability into that conference at the Division I level. I agree with you. You look at the Lady Bruins, Marcel doing a great job. Let me tell you something. 9 years I've been here. It's hard to believe. Only one time has Centennial reached double-digit wins. That team that Tony Hill took to the sub-state and got beat at the buzzer at Clarksville High. This 9-win team right here, look out. I think they're starting to make a name for themselves. I can't speak enough of Coach Hamilton and the job that he's done. I agree with you 100% on Rachel Hahn. Jury's still out. Nobody knows. We'll have to wait and see, right? First-year coach. Hillsborough, historically, always a tough matchup.
No doubt about that. And you talk about Franklin, Amy Elliott. Look out. Really good point guard for them. Will do a great job. Now, speaking of Coach Hill, let's talk about 12-4A. We've got Independence, Nolensville, Ravenwood, Summit, and Columbia. Looks like on paper at least, Ravenwood and Summit will be the cream of this crop. You got Coach Wild and Summit, 16-14 last year, but they have Quinn Johnston back. She's going to be here tonight. If I'm not mistaken, last night she hits 9 3-pointers, Dr. Qualls, in that first game. Nicole Rosani, OTL. We love Nicole, one of the best players in the league, who'll do a great job. And then Ravenwood with Elizabeth Flynn leading the way there for them. Natalie Prestigard. They lost Miss Everything, Reagan Grimes, but Coach James and Ravenwood look to have a really solid team again.
It's going to be interesting. I think it really comes down to Ravenwood Summit, but don't overlook one important name. You've heard it here first. Coach Wild's going to love this. Bridget Ali, freshman.
No doubt.
In the next 3 years will be the Wilco Player of the Year. Book it. You heard it here first. She came in last night, 75-40 victory over Hickman County. Double digits, first game for her.
Yep.
Now, you got to think about this. 13, 14-year-old going against 17, 18-year-olds, double digits. Bridget Ali, Summit. I don't know if I'm going out on a limb. I think Summit right now has got to be the favorite in that group.
Now, Dr. Qualls, I noticed on your car, I see an Indy Nation sticker. So I'm going to assume your son's a freshman there at Independence. You got to be proud of what Coach Hill is building there on the girls' side. We'll talk about Coach Wilkins here in just a bit.
Let's go back 6 years. Prior to Tony Hill taking over at Centennial, Centennial went 1 win, 2 wins. Tony Hill takes that team, and in about 2 years after that, he takes that squad and goes to that sub-state game, literally misses a bucket at the buzzer to go to the glass house. 10-20 last year. I've watched them practice already. Savannah Say. I want you to remember that. I want you to remember your Hamlets, my friend. Hickman County ties. I'm going to give a shout-out to my Hickman County folks. Grandmother was in Hickman County, grew up in Hickman County. My point of this is she's a good player. She came through Thompson Station. Yep. She's a year ahead of my son. You're talking about my son. So I've seen all these girls come through. 10-20, I think that he's going to have more than 10 wins this year. He's going to have more than 10 wins. Claudia Chilton, another tie. They're not going to – I'm telling you, this is a sleeper team. I think they're going to be better.
I think they are too, as well as Coach Ladd and his squad there at Nolensville. The thing about Independence, people may forget, Summit was playing as well as anybody at the end of the year. They had a loss at Independence. It was OTL takeover night, if you remember, Dr.
I remember
Claus.
it very well. And it really – you look back at that game, you think, oh, it's just a loss. But really, Coach Wild, that didn't sit well.
Yeah, it didn't.
And Coach Hill, you could see the emotion on him. Not only is it a W for his team, but that's a huge – let's get over the hump. Hey, Independence girls, we're here. We're for real. This is not just a W for the other team, right? So I think that's a culture that he's trying to bring to the table.
Well, and thoughts and prayers, by the way, with Coach Wild, with the loss of his dad here the past couple of days. He was out last night for the game. Coach Edwards took over. She'll be here again tonight representing Summit High School. Looking forward to him getting back, but obviously dealing with some family stuff right now. Now, let's talk about our other two teams, neither one of which play in a league with Williamson County schools. Number one, you got Paige High School, new head coach Randy Kaufman, 31-4 team last year. They make it all the way to the state semifinals. They lose Mackenzie Cochran. They lose Abigail Ward. They lose Lily Wilkin. Don't cry for Paige, though. They have still coming back Brayley Bushman, great player, tough kid, Sadie Porter, Mary Claire Pike. I still think in their league they'll be one of the teams to beat. Coach Kaufman, great coach, state champion at Riverdale High School. We're happy to have him. Sorry to lose Coach Brock, although, as you predicted, Coach Brock showed up somewhere in the district, assistant coach for Nolensville, and Drew Gadice, the new head coach at Nolensville.
He's like an old junkyard dog, man. He hangs around. He knows what he's doing. Hey, let's talk about this for a moment. Let's take your Wilco hat off for a minute. You look at this AAA, which is basically AA, let's be honest, right, back in the day. You look at those rural sectors, man. You go back to those traditional programs that are good year in and year out. Why is that, Coach Joins? You look at the feeder programs.
Right.
You look at that culture that's being built, 612. This is just because we changed at the helm for Coach doesn't mean that culture changes. I think they got something special. It's going to be strange to see a Paige team without a Wilkin on it, though.
No doubt about that. But again, I think with this team, if you just looked at WCS as a whole, they're a lot closer to being the best team in Williamson County than they are the bottom team. They've got a nice team.
Absolutely. I mean, I really think that in this particular, I'm trying to keep up with what district they're in and not in WCS.
It'll be a little easier next year.
I really think that they're going to run. It's going to be, the sky's the limit for this team, right? As far as district play goes, they're going to be fine. It's getting out in that region. And as long as they're scheduling, without looking at their schedule off the top of my head, as long as they're scheduling the top tier of the WCS teams, they're going to be fine. They got to prepare themselves for that further down the road because they're going to be there.
They've got a great schedule. Fairview and Coach McGowan coming off a 9-21 season. Lost Dillingham, Kenton, and Casey Mullins, three players who were big time for them over the years. I do like their team, though. I think they're improved, even though they lost those players. Get a big win last night. Let me get this right, because this is kind of your world. Is it Santa Fe or Santa Fe?
It's according to who you talk. It's according to what side of the tracks you're on.
What if
it's Santa Fe?
Well, what if you live there?
Santa Fe's out west in one of the New Mexico, maybe. Santa Fe is right south of Columbia. You got to get it right. Santa Fe, right? Now, once again, it's according to who you're talking about, but you're right, 47-31, big win for them. You look at their record, 9-21, same exact situation as Centennial 5-6 years ago. 1-2 wins, 4-5 wins. Every single year it felt like they were doing something.
Yep.
They've doubled up on that to 9. I think he's going to try to get double digits this year. I think he will get double digits behind Genesis Harris, 15 points last night in that win against Santa Fe.
Let's move over to the boys. And before we do, again, shout out to Walker Chevrolet, Brock Daly. Appreciate them helping make this thing happen. We appreciate Tate Matthews and Adidas. Tate out on assignment. We got Dr. Qualls here, CTE director, former district athletic director here with us tonight. Thank the folks at Mojo's Tacos, Lance West, and WCTV bringing this live stream to you. We appreciate all the work they do for us. He's not intern Lance anymore, Dr. Qualls.
He's not. He's full-time Lance.
Full-time Lance.
Like,
but I feel like you kept saying that for a while, though, and he's full-time.
That was his great role in the game, man. He was the intern Lance. He came in and
He
always corrected my mistakes, see.
Is it accurate to say that Lance was OTL before OTL existed?
He is the OG of OTL.
Okay. It makes a lot of sense.
Now, you're talking about Tate. You know, we all miss Tate, but at least I'm talking back basketball with you somewhat. Some people would argue that I wasn't a very good coach. That's okay. But at least, you know, if Tate was sitting here, he'd just be saying absolutely with you the whole time.
Well, if you're like me, Dr. Qualls, talking about being a coach, I find that in my own mind, I'm better than I really was.
Yes.
The further I get away from it, I was really good.
I was legendary. I've been away for a long
Before
time.
they kicked me out of the door at
That's
Peach
right.
and Franklin.
That's right.
Hey, let's talk boys basketball. We'll start again with 11-4A, Brentwood, Centennial, Franklin, Hillsboro, Overton. I feel like the class of that group, and I'm not saying this because I coach there, Franklin High School, coming off a 25-8 season there with Coach Tigert. They lost Tom Fortner and Noah McGee, but look out, Davis Long. He's a guy that a lot of people know about. Jack Medalley, who scores a lot of points for him. I'm telling you, the way Davis Long, I think he's the key to that team as the point guard. They've had a string of nice point guards there. Jack Patton, Reed Kemp, and now Davis Long. He fits right in there.
Well, let's get two things. First thing, let's get out of the way. You are biased and a homer for Franklin because you did coach there. Number two, do they run any kind of funny defenses?
They don't. He plays a lot of different defenses,
Okay,
but
so he's not running that
funny one.
He's not running that funny 1-3-1, right? Okay, all right, let's get that out of the way. Jack Medalley is going to become a household name for the WCS Sports Conference. Already getting those mid-major looks. My guy Scott Combs making those in-home visits from Morehead State, talking about Jack Medalley. Yes, I agree with you. 25-8. You think about Franklin. Franklin won. Is it appropriate to say they won ugly a lot? You know, it's not one of these things where Coach Joins is out there fist pumping in the crowd and 1-3-1 it, and Reese Glover's hitting half-court shots, and everybody's paying to see them, right? But they win, 25-8. You look at this year, I agree with you. The havoc at Brentwood, it's going to be interesting. You got two players going to be going at it. I don't want to skip ahead, but Daniel Cochran being that other player that's going to kind of be that household name that a lot of people are getting eyes on. So Franklin, Brentwood, I agree with you. Justin Anderson, I love to see Justin Anderson, my guy back, your guy back on the bench, one of the best one-on-one skill development guys in the game.
No question about that. Centennial, I like Jeremy Moore and his team. Dominic Reed coming back. What did he do last year? He was the MVP of the district as a sophomore. He is back, and I'll tell you this, don't underestimate this. Centennial has a lot of guys who play football, and you know they are brimming with confidence coming back. Even though they lost in the first round, they had a great football season. I think it helps their basketball game. What do you think? Or do we need to specialize, Dr. Qualls? Play one sport.
We definitely don't need to specialize, but I've seen both sides, right? As an example, as long as you're coming in healthy, it's phenomenal, right? You go back to Garrison Matthews, banged up, had a pointer hip the whole time. It took him 3/4 of the season to get over it. As long as you're healthy, it absolutely. And I couldn't advocate more than to play multiple sports. I think they should be playing them all. And matter of fact, the being able to play football, the strength involved in particular positions. Let's talk about a loose ball scenario. Let's talk about just being a dog, being a competitor. Loose balls on the floor. Who are you going to bank on? You're going to bank on that cornerback or that defensive back getting after the ball, not being scared. So specialization is ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. But yes, I think it helps tremendously.
Hey, just to show you, I'm not the Franklin homer that you accuse me of.
Yeah,
I think our best prospect in Williamson County right now for the next level is Daniel Cochran at Brentwood High School because of his size, because of his ability to shoot the ball. He has guard skills. He's a big guy. But I told Daniel when we did the media shoot, or the media day shoot there for our media guy, Daniel representing Brentwood High School, and thank you. Shout out to Christian Taylor. They look great as always. Daniel's going to have some choices. He played tight end this year for Brentwood High School. He's going to have, in my opinion, Division I offers in both sports.
That's phenomenal. And what if a college comes and says, we're going to give you both? That would be the first.
Where do I sign?
Exactly, right. You want to give them an opportunity to play both. That's pretty incredible. You think about that, man, and having the opportunity, number one, to have the body size, to have the strength, to have the IQ and the awareness on the field, on the court, to be able to be picked up by a Division I team on both ways would be absolutely phenomenal. I do want to say something. We're talking about the number one prospect. I've got one for you. I'm going way back. I just want to make sure I make my mark right here. And intern Lance, real OG Lance, has got it on tape. The number one prospect in boys basketball is currently in 7th grade right now. You've heard it here first. Thompson Station Middle, last name Humphreys. Mark my word when you say that. 6'9", Dirk Nowitzki skills right now.
I hope you're right, and I don't want to mention any names, but you also totally jinxed a young man a few years ago.
You're probably right. We're not going to talk about that. You're right. I think I was starstruck. I was early in the game. I was like year 1 or 2. I didn't know any better. I was immature at this game. I saw the kid do something spectacular at the middle school level, and I jinxed him for the rest of his career. So maybe he won't watch this, but I'm just going to remind you.
All right, let's talk about 12-4A. Now, I'm going to say this, and I think the coaches would agree. Last year on the boys' side, without question, 12-4A was the better of the two districts. It is totally flipped this year. I think 11-4A is tougher. I do think the best team, if you ask me right now, who's got the best team in WCS, I think it's Independence. I think a lot of that is because of Jet Montgomery. You take a look at Independence winning 25 games last year, and don't underestimate this. Mark Wilkins in his first year, there's always a learning curve for players and coaches. They don't know each other quite as well. Now they do. They've got maybe the best player in the league coming back, sophomore Jet Montgomery. Love Matthew Witt. They lost some people, but I'm telling you, I know you've seen them practice, and I know you're an Indy homer because you've got that sticker on the back of your car to prove it. But I think they're as good as it gets in the league. Are you speechless for the first time?
I'm not. I'm trying to decide which way I'm going to go with this because you got me back. I do have a son in that school, so I kind of have to pull for him a little bit. I think you're 100% correct. You look at the overall body of competitiveness, you're exactly right on the Brentwood Centennial Franklin side. Independence, top to bottom, the depth, the people they have, they're going to be really, really difficult. They could be their own worst enemy, or they could be the absolute world beaters. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Jet Montgomery arguably is the best shooter in the league right now. Tyler Lewis is the most physical guard in the league right now. I saw the kid do a windmill. He's a sophomore, right? He's got size with Matthew Witt. He's got some extra guys that have come to the table in the last few weeks. This team is loaded to bear. It's hard to believe when you look at the record. They went 25-9 last year. Coach Wilkins walking around like they went 500 and they're 25-9. But Steve Bake, you ever heard of Coach Bake? It's a pickup he got on his staff.
Absolutely.
Him and Coach Anderson, I put side by side, 1A, 1B on that player development side. So it's going to be really interesting. If he keeps the team dynamic, if those kids buy in, they're going to be really, really special.
I think so, too. Now, let's talk about the other teams. We got Nolensville coming off an 8-19 record. Drew Gadice, first-year head coach, doing a great job with that team early on. They beat Shelbyville last night to go 1-0. Also the girls' team with a win over Shelbyville. Ravenwood and Patrick Whitlock, they probably lost as much as anybody in the league, but I'll say this about Coach Whitlock. Of all the guys I ever coached against and all the guys I watch coach, I think when he's got middle level to mediocre talent, he shines. And I'm not saying he can't coach talented guys, but I'm saying he's going to have a team that'll play well regardless of the talent. And don't get me wrong, they're not exactly left with no one. Evan Gaynor is a heck of a player for them. He's going to be here with them tonight. But they lost quite a bit from that team that made it all the way to sub-state.
I could not agree with you more. Junkyard Dog, basketball junkie, gym rat. You know, you talk about Coach Whitlock. He's always going to be right there. You know, you look at his team, and sometimes we don't even talk about him. They're not even in the conversation with Coach Tiger, what he did last year, 25-8. He won 23 games at Ravenwood in an extremely tough district. He's going to do it again this year. He's going to be around the 20-win mark, if not more. But every single game, he'll have his kids prepared. They set you to death, right? And he figures out a way to take mediocre talent, like you say, and keep them in the game. That's where that on-the-court IQ, that's where those gym rats shine. If you out-athlete me, we're going to outsmart you. If you can outscore us, we're going to figure out a way to keep the score low, right? He always finds a way to stay in those games.
The dean of basketball coaches.
The dean.
And I think this is 17 for him. You're 17.
That's hard to believe.
Summit and Jim Fay, again, much like Nolensville in their situation, still kind of in that process of building. Coach Fay, they're in that situation at Summit. They do have a couple young men, though, pretty good players. Pollard, I think you had it written down, 15 points last night in their opening game. Cade Linfesti, another really solid player for Summit High School.
Yeah, they beat Hickman County last night, 72-44. Crusher with 15, Pollard with 10, Linfesti with 4. Yeah, I mean, you just got to, it's one of those things where you got to circle the wagon sometimes. You got to get the kids to believe. You might win some, lose some early, but you got to build towards February. Get better every single night. Get over Christmas. Get back in January. There's 3 seasons, right? You got to break it down in 3 seasons and thirds and make sure that you just keep grinding and see what happens.
Last 2 teams, again, not in the league with any other WCS team, which I know you love. Paige High School, your guy.
14 conferences, 1 goal.
Jared Street, 16-15 last year. First year at Paige High School, did a nice job. They made it all the way to the sectionals there out of District 8 AAA. He's got Grant Snyder coming back, Andrew Kukala. Hope I said that right. If I get corrected on that, I apologize, Andrew. They lost some guys. He's got a lot of really good sophomores. And then Fairview High School, Trey McCoy, they make it to the sectional last year. And this is something people don't talk about. He's slowly building a really, not even slowly, it's happened, a really good program out there at Fairview. I think they've won, 2 or 3 district tournaments in the last 4 or 5 years. And then you look at the banners on the wall, and the previous district championship was like 1960. What he's done out there is great. And don't forget this. They had a win last year over Independence on a night that Jet Montgomery scored 41 points.
Yeah, that's not happening again. But let's talk about Fairview for just a moment. 23-8, Coach McCoy.
Dash to Sports agrees with you about that.
Yeah, that's not happening
again.
Even if Coach Wilkins was going to make somebody mad and prove a point to some of his starters, that ain't happening. 23-8, man, that's unbelievable. You go back to the longevity. You go back to who? Mays McCoy in 6th grade. You go back and you look at that 6th grade team when Mays was on it.
No doubt.
They won the district. 7th grade went to the TNT state tournament. 8th grade, TMS AA state tournament. This group
championship game.
That's right. The fruits of their labor is coming to fruition right now. Now, what's behind them, I couldn't tell you. This may be the end of the road, but regardless, this is exactly right. For the last 6-7 years, Fairview's done something pretty special. Paige, Coach Street last year won 16 games. He's really, really excited about his sophomore group. Now, they're going to take some lumps this year probably with that sophomore group, but look out. 2 years from now or even a year from now, also, my guy's got the best-looking jerseys. He put the logo on the jersey. The conference logo is on the Paige jersey. I love it because next year it's not going to be 14 conferences, 1 goal. It's going to be 1 conference, 1 goal.
Well, and I know that's something I'm sure some guys may ask tonight. Going to be pretty interesting that we're all, not every sport, but we're pretty much grouped. And certainly in basketball, we'll have an 8-team league. It'll be everybody but
it's incredible.
Fairview, which
it's
I think is great.
It's the way it should be. I know that Charles and Chip and all these guys will feel the same way. They don't have to go to 16 different locations across the night. Charles doesn't have to burn 14 tanks of gas to get there. I truly believe this is the way it's meant to be, the best conference in the state of Tennessee. And you go to, you start talking about it. Rutherford County always is in the back of everybody's mind. They've got the best. Shelby County, this is it right here, man.
I agree with you. Hey, and listen, I think you can make the argument with one sentence. When Brentwood and Ravenwood aren't in the same district,
it's ridiculous.
Something's wrong.
Well, it's ridiculous. I mean, you go to a game. Let's talk about just for a moment. I know our time's about up, but you talk about gate, you talk about atmosphere. Nobody in the state, and we've been all over the state, including the Buccanasium. We've been all over the state, West Tennessee, East Tennessee. Nobody has what we have as far as student sections, atmospheres, cultures. And now you're putting all 8 together where it's meaningful. It's enormous. It's exactly, I feel, the way it should be.
Well, and I know there's a lot of different things you could say that, if we were in separate districts, more teams would make those are all great arguments. But when you're talking about gates and excitement and some of the things that we have in WCS, I personally feel like if you're talking about basketball last year, I think we lost a little bit of it last year with 2 5-team districts. I just believe that. I really do. And guys talked about playing one another. Well, I noticed we have one school that's got a couple of Murfreesboro schools on their schedule twice, but they don't have people in their own. And I'm not critiquing. Maybe the schedule didn't work out. But when you're going to play the 7 other teams 2 times, guess what? Some of those conversations people have about, hey, our gates aren't quite as big. That stuff's over. It's over.
Well, I go back, and we saw the benefits of splitting up. My man Dash will remember this. A couple of years ago, 5A, 6A football. We won 2 state championships. Blade Runner went undefeated. Hester went 14-1. We won 6A, 5A that year. You know, it was great, and we were so excited of that. But think of the game that Independence and Ravenwood had if they'd played each other. They didn't even play each other. You know, you think about that. And you're playing Clarksville Northeast with 7 people across the way of you, and you're trying to pay for a $60,000 budget through ticket sales. I mean, that was the truth of reality. We thought it was great. Yeah, we're going to win more. That's fantastic. We get up there and you play Clarksville Northeast, Northwest, and they're like, who are these teams? We don't care, and you're blowing them out and you're not getting yourself ready. You can argue it 100 different ways. I am biased. I'll be the first to tell you. One conference, one goal. That's the way it's meant to be. That's why the logo says it. This is incredible, and I can't wait to see how it plays out.
Well, I'm excited.
The Tiger's lurking. I know he's looking at his watch.
I'm excited about it, too. Dr. Qualls, our part of the show is over. I appreciate you for being here.
Maybe everybody will tune back in now, right?
Again, want to thank Walker Chevrolet for helping making this thing happen. We appreciate Tate Matthews and Adidas. We certainly appreciate Mojo's Tacos. And then we've got Lance and WCTV. Without further ado, I want to invite Franklin High School, Coach Tigert, Coach Hahn. Hopefully they're in the house. They've got players with them. I want you guys to come up if you would. We'll get players to sit here in the middle. We'll get the coaches on either end. I'll do a little bit of an introduction, let you guys talk, and then you can take questions from the media. Come on up. Right here. So we've got a microphone that I have. OTL, you guys that are out there, we want reporters to ask questions after the beginning here. You're going to have one mic that you're going to pass around. And if you would, because we're on live stream here, they don't see you. They may or may not recognize your voice. So each time you ask a question, if you would, give your name, what publication you're with, and then ask questions. We're going to start off this way. Again, this is Franklin High School. We got Coach Jason Tigert here. Is it 3rd or 4th year? This is year 4 at Franklin High School. The program got better when he came in 4 years ago. I think that's can't even be questioned. We got Rachel Hahn, first-year head coach for Franklin High School. Long time Franklin person, though. You probably know her. She played ball there, did a great job, been an assistant coach as well. So here's what we'll do. We'll start with Coach Tigert so Coach Hahn can kind of feel what's going on here. She's got that mic on the end. Players, you'll have the one in the middle. Y'all share that. Coach Tigert is going to introduce who's with him, give us a little bit about what you expect for this year. Coach Hahn, do the same thing. Introduce who you have with you. Talk about expectations. Then we'll take questions from the media. Again, Franklin High School.
I'm Myers Shantz. I'm a senior. Really play any position.
I'm Lila Gardner. I pretty much play any position, and I'm a senior.
Myers is the only kid in the program that's been with us all 4 years, a true program player. Like he says, he prides himself with being able to play positions 1 through 5 for us. Just a great teammate and someone we're very proud that represents Franklin High School.
So my turn for Lila. All right. Lila Gardner has been a 4-year starter for us. She started as our point guard her freshman year, quickly transitioned to a shooting guard, and then as a power forward. So really, she said she's played all positions. It's because she has. Even today in practice, she was posting up. So she's a jack of all trades. She's one of our team captains this year, and she's just a great kid to lead our program into a successful season.
Open it up for questions.
Did we talk about expectations for the year? Did you guys talk about that a little bit?
Expectations, yeah. We're super excited as we move forward. We graduated 6 players from last year. We've got 2 seniors on our roster. We have 3 juniors and then a slew of sophomores. So we're a relatively very, very young team, but that might be a little misleading. Our sophomore class played both the 9th grade and JV schedule last year and got a ton of minutes this summer as well. Our 4 of our 5 juniors and seniors have significant experience with the program. So even though we're young as far as our age go and our classification, we feel like we're a little bit more mature than what that would look like on paper.
So for the Lady Admirals, we are still in a rebuilding year, I believe. We've had several coaches changes in the past few years. Again, this is my first year as a head coach, so I'm hoping to start and change and build that culture. So in terms of expectations, we've thrown that word out there a lot, is what do we want to build that culture around, that good team fighting effort. Our theme for today's practice was don't settle to be average, right? We're trying to get better day in and day out, and it's not going to come overnight, but we're building it one step at a time. Lila is one of 2 seniors this year. Again, she's one of our senior captains. We have several juniors, some returning that started from last year. We did graduate 5 seniors from last year. We have a very small freshman class, but small sophomore class, but a mighty freshman class. So we're hoping to build with those young bucks and keep training them. And again, building that successful culture, getting that mindset of a winning program, just keep building on it. Any questions?
Myers, you want to talk about expectations?
I think we're a confident group. You know, we're ready for the season. We think the sky's the limit. And, you know, if we execute, we can do whatever we can. So, yeah.
You got it, Lila.
I think that we are, what you said, we're a young team, but I think that once we get experience and get playing time together and get better team chemistry, I think it'll be a good season.
This time we'll open it up for questions.
Hey, Coach Tiger. First off, Charles with the Williamson Herald. Coach, just want to know a little bit about maybe some of those fresher faces we're going to be seeing a little bit more. You talked a little bit about the slew of sophomores. Who are some guys that we should keep our eye out on for?
We've got a set of twins with the Jordan boys, Riley and Cooper Jordan, excellent defenders, play as hard as anybody. They're just really, when you get youngsters, a lot of times they're skilled offensively and they lack on the defensive end. That is not the case with the Jordans. They were ready to guard. At the varsity level, it's freshmen last year. We've got a couple of elite shooters, Sam Mewburn, Lucas Young, that shoot the ball extremely well. We've got a talented big, Christian Brown, who is 6'6". He's got skill and is just getting better and better every day. And then we've got a gym rat, Xander Johnson, that has made himself become a contributor. And so we expect all those guys to contribute this season.
Coach Hahn, similarly here, thinking about the makeup of this team here, to lose some of the veteranness, the senior leadership from last year, what are some of the expectations for a younger group here?
So for a younger group is just knowing that they're going to mess up, but just the next play is coming, all right? So we tell them every day, like, you're not going to have a perfect game. Just come in, keep fighting hard. If you give enough effort, you're going to beat teams. You'll be successful, all right? Just got to keep working and outplaying our opponents and keep fighting. We do have 2 freshmen that started in our last game, Josie Hammond and Cecily Bradamore. I think they're going to be 2 players you need to keep an eye out. Good knockdown shooter on the guard, and then a tall post presence. So I'm excited to be a threat from the inside and the outside. And then talking about Lila being a senior leader, being there to help those younger girls on the court and guide them, especially in those towards the end of the clock scenarios. Coaches can do so much, but it really comes from the players, and having her on the court leading definitely helps. Another standout point guard for us and a leader on the court is Amy Elliott. She's able to control the ball. She helps speed up our tempo with pushing the ball, and we're telling, we got a fast point guard. We need everyone else transitioning, following her. She should not be the one beating us down the court. So lots of learning lessons, but we can only keep building one game at a time and then just taking a step forward and not backwards.
coaches, can you break down your districts? I mean, it's year 2 of 4 classes. How do you see it going? And look ahead to next year. I think Williamson's united again. That's got to be something that y'all are looking forward to, is kind of seeing everyone back together.
Yes, very excited moving forward. Next season, Coach Joines touched on it. I love having the 8-team district and getting those rivalries together again, where it's, meaningful games across Williamson County. I mean, it is the best atmosphere across the state, hands down. It's not even a question. And so I'm pumped about it. And it's going to be a dogfight to be able to, next season, to get out of the league. But, if you can't win your first round game, then, that's on you. So I'm super excited moving forward. As far as this season, I do think our league is very tough. Hillsboro, they're like us. We got some very talented youngsters on the roster. Brentwood has arguably the best player in the league and very well coached. Centennial plays as hard and always prepared. I think Overton's going to be, I saw they had a big win last night as well. And so, the league's going to be tough on our side, no doubt. But I think we've got the pieces to be competitive and hopefully finish somewhere near the top.
Yeah, on the girls' side, again, we got the 5 teams in our district. I think last year we ended up with a coin toss with Centennial. We ended up in the 4th seed for the tournament. But in my mind, it's really anyone's game. Hillsboro, Brentwood, we're tied for 1st, again, with a coin toss for the tournament. But I could see it going anyway. We're here to compete, and we're not settling for 4th place this year. We're fighting back up to the top. In terms of going back to the old district, I think it's awesome. Like I referenced before, when I was a player, that's how it was. So I'm excited to get back into that rivalry, a crosstown rivalryship. It helps, like I said, with the environment, with the crowd. It brings families together. Everyone in the community is in there fighting and cheering on their teams. Just makes it more fun, getting back to the Williamson County district. Of course, we love the metro schools being in our district, but Williamson County is special, that's for sure.
And my final question for both coaches. If you could point out what's one player we may not know about this year that you think that we're going to be talking about this season that maybe didn't play under the radar, maybe he or she moved in, but who's a player that we didn't really write about last year that is a player that this year you think that we're going to be impressed with?
All right, after consulting with Myers, we agree. Sam Mewburn is a player that he doesn't play like high-level AAU. He played on the freshman and JV team last year, and he just can absolutely shoot the mess out of the basketball. We challenged him this summer. We said, you either got to be a shot blocker or a charge taker. There's nothing in between. And he's not a shot blocker. And so he embraced the role, and I think he led our team in charges this summer after not taking one literally probably his whole freshman year. And so he's very coachable, he's hungry, he's confident, and once again, he can shoot the basketball. And so I think that's somebody that's probably going to be in the papers. He's definitely going to be in the scoring column throughout the year.
Coach?
I would say for our side, Emma Powell. She's probably she is our shortest player on the court, but she is always crashing the board. She sneaks in there. She's the best cutter on her team. She's a knockdown shooter. So she's definitely someone that her name's be popping up a lot.
Chip from the Franklin homepage. For both players, how tough is your schedule this year?
I think we have a good non-conference schedule, as well as obviously the district's going to be very competitive. And then we also, play in Ravenwood twice, Independence twice. Those are going to be big games. We also have Cane Ridge at home. And then last night I thought Green Hill was a really good first test for us. So I think our schedule is going to be pretty good, and it'll get us prepared for tournament time.
You have Bearden on the schedule as well. We'll be playing them over in Murfreesboro.
Kind of like what Myers said, I think Green Hills was a good first game and a good matchup. I think the rest of the season will go good. We play Lipscomb at home and then Lebanon, and I think those will be good matchups.
Bearden matchups can be at Riverdale. Yeah.
Thanks for having this, Dr. Joins. We appreciate everything in Williamson County. This is just top notch, having an opportunity like this to see each team one by one. And my question is for the two seniors, Lila and Miles. You guys are now taking that senior role as leaders, on this team. And I think you're one of two girls as far as the senior leadership goes. New coach, a lot of responsibility. How do you both handle those situations, and what are you going to put forth as a player and also on and off the court as putting that leadership forward?
I think that this year is kind of the first year that we've had true captains, and I think it's a good thing because me, Amy Elliott, and Grace Bechtel, we kind of converse on and off the court, and I think we work well together to become leaders and help the younger girls. And I think because it's such a young team that they're learning still, and they have a lot to know, and we have a lot of experience to help them. So I think that with our helping the coaches coach the other girls, I think it'll be good.
For me, as one of only two seniors on the team, Coach mentioned we have a young group, so just trying to set a good example on and off the floor, just some practice habits like how to watch film, just things like that. Just trying to lead the guys on and off the court.
Any other questions?
All right, thank you. Good job, Franklin High School. Paige will be next, if we can get the folks from Paige heading this way. Thank you, guys. You can just put it right here, Coach. Fine. Paige High School next up. As they make their way to the stage, we've got Coach Jared Street, boys coach in year 2 for Paige High School. Coach will sit here on the end. How you doing? Good to see you. Coach Kaufman in his first year at Paige High School, taking him a second to get up here. He hadn't done anything big time like this before, Coach Street, so we're waiting for Coach to get up here. Coach, you'll sit on the end. We got your player with you. Okay, if you'll sit on the end there, Coach. Get Brayley up here.
She's not quite here yet.
Oh, okay. Well, if we needed to, we could maybe go Ravenwood if that was necessary. If you want to Brayley, is all our group from Ravenwood here? All our Ravenwood folks here, boys and girls and coaches. Come on up, Ravenwood. Let's do that. We'll give Brayley a chance to get up here if you guys don't mind. All right, so we're going to change our order a little bit. Ravenwood High School, we got Coach James leading the girls program coming up. We got Coach Whitlock, the Dean of Coaches for Ravenwood High School. Coaches, if you'll sit on the end. And then we'll follow with Paige High School. So we get the players in the middle. Players in the middle, coaches on the end. Players, when you get asked a question, you're going to share that mic. Coach James, you'll take the one on the end. Coach Whitlock. So again, Ravenwood High School, Andrew James, girls coach, Patrick Whitlock, boys coach. If you guys would, just introduce who's here with you, and then also give us a little bit of an expectation, sort of a preview for your team this year. Again, Ravenwood High School up next.
Hello, I'm Coach Andrew James. Got Elizabeth Flynn with me here. She's one of our senior captains. We obviously just came from practice. We got our first game tomorrow night at Rockvale. Looking forward to this season. This is my 4th year here, so Elizabeth was part of my first freshman class, so it's kind of neat for me to watch them grow and become seniors now. And we've got 5 incredible seniors with Elizabeth, Catalina Karai, Lexi Levine, Allie Raymer, and Audrey Speckert. We're really excited about our season, and the girls have worked really hard. It's a great group of kids, so we're ready to roll.
I'm Coach Whitlock. Got Evan Gaynor here, our junior leading returning scorer this year. We lost a lot of talent last year. We lost 5 starters, 8 seniors, so a lot of people, including evidently Dr. Qualls and Coach Joins, as I listened to them on the way over here, said we'll be pretty mediocre this year. So we'll be sure to clip that up and show that to the kids for practice tomorrow. But no, we've got a good group coming back. Some kids kind of waited their turn, and we had a great season last year, making a sectional game. So we've had a great couple weeks of practice, and we're just excited to get out there and play against somebody other than ourselves.
Questions?
Hey, everyone. Test. Hey, Tom Krager, Tennessean. Coaches, first, can you just talk about first your district, how you see it going, and then can you talk about the future of next year with your district back, kind of everyone back together, and how much you guys looking forward to the rivalries that come back with that?
So with our district this year, I mean, it's a tough district. We've got really good coaches in there, and it's going to be a battle for us every night. We're going to have to be ready. We're going to have to be prepared for them. As far as the district goes next year, I love it. I think, honestly, I wish it was that way this year. Of course, I know coaches will say when it comes to scheduling, only having 5 teams in your district makes scheduling a little bit more difficult. So having 8 teams makes that a lot better. It's just natural rivalries. I mean, we feel like our biggest rival is not even in our district right now. So that'll be nice to have them back in that. I'm looking forward to that, the realignment, but make no mistake, we're in a tough district this year, and it's going to be a battle to the end for us for the season.
I think my mic works, so I just talk loud, but obviously on our side, Independence returns a whole lot of talent. It's going to be very, very good. Coach Good Ice at Nolensville, got a lot of energy. Seen them play a little bit in the offseason, and we expect them to be much better. Coach, it does work. All right. Coach Fay does a great job at Summit. They're always going to be a tough out, and Columbia clearly was the best team in our district last year, and we're not a little unsure of what they're going to have with the new coach and things like that. And then in terms of the 8 teams being all together next year, I think it's going to be awesome. It's going to be great for the gate. It's going to be great for our county. Every night is a rivalry night, and it's back to the way it was. The district tournament will mean something again, so that's going to be pretty cool. And Coach Joins and Coach Qualls before him have just elevated this whole scene like you see here tonight. So having all of 8 of us together, I can only imagine what heights they'll take it to in the future.
Coaches, can you just talk about who's the unsung person on your roster this year? Who's the person maybe we haven't written about in the past that no one really knows about that you've seen in practice that everyone's going to notice this season?
Well, first of all, Elizabeth, she's our stud, and she's been a stud for us for the last few years. So, and I'm sure a lot of you have written plenty of great things about her, and it's well deserved. For us, someone that played a lot last year and is probably going to be, I think, can be a awesome player for us is Catalina Garay, number 44. She's really, really improved a lot, and she's going to be a physical force for us down low. So that, for us, is going to be someone that got some attention last year. I think she's going to really have a good breakout season for us as well.
With us, it could be our entire starting 5. Obviously, Evan is somewhat of a known entity. He's a pest out there, gets a lot of steals, really good shooter, kind of makes us go. Rocco Lamuno, another junior that's ready to step up and emerge, 6'3", long, athletic. And then our 3 seniors, Ethan Myers, Brett Shelby, a live body, had some real key plays for us a year ago, and then also Will Brent. So it'll be exciting to see who steps up for us, and beyond that, we got a lot of guys kind of in the mix in that 6, 7, 8 role. So we'll just have to see how it plays out.
And players for you, who's the best player you faced against last year, and why?
I'd say Nicole Rosani. She's, really versatile. It was really tough guarding her. And I think it's going to be my biggest competition this year as well.
And what school is that from?
Summit.
Does it work? All right. Probably all around. Probably Davis Long from Franklin. Really hard to guard. Really good shooter. Also Jet. Obviously Jet from Independence. So, yeah.
Thanks.
For both coaches, do you think it could be another deep run, or are you thinking maybe rebuilding a little this year? What do you feel like lies ahead?
You said whether it's a rebuild or not, or is that what you're asking? Our deep run? Well, look, everyone knows we lost a stud in Reagan Grimes. We're going to look different. But I truly believe, I don't think we would view ourselves as a rebuild or anything like that. We have a lot of girls returning. Emma Rail, Natalie Prestigard, Elizabeth, Catalina started. I mean, we have players that have experience. Last year we were a little bit inexperienced, and Reagan was really able to help us through that, along with Elizabeth as a junior. I mean, look, we play a lot of tough teams. Our November and December schedule is tough. And then you go into district. It's just every game is going to be tough for us. But we think that we are capable to make a deep run. And I have a great group of kids in our locker room and in our gym that they're going to battle and fight every single day. They're going to take coaching. They're going to take hard coaching. And they're going to be, there to support each other. So I feel really good. And jealously, I want to go as far as we can because I want to keep coaching these kids because they're such awesome kids to coach.
I mean, for us, it's really too early to say. We're just trying to get better every day. I know that's cliche as a coach, but you really just want to play your best basketball at the end of February and hopefully get into March. If you get into March, it's been a successful season. Our schedule is brutal. We got a lot of name brands on our schedule early. We got Franklin next week, Oakland, Blackman, Lipscomb Academy, Beach. Last year we were very successful. We won 23 games, and quite honestly, if we would have played the schedule Beach played, we probably would have won close to 30. But we didn't play a bunch of soft teams from the other part of the mid-state. We had a really difficult schedule, and that's been our approach, and we're going to keep going that way. And we might take some lumps early, but I think we got a group of kids that every time they step in the locker room and on the floor, they expect to win. So our expectation is to make a run, and we'll have to see what happens.
Hey guys, this is Charles with the Williamson Herald. For Elizabeth, first off, starting off with you, do you mind sharing some thoughts about just this team's makeup? Obviously, Coach talked a little bit about Reagan moving on here, and I know she's already making an impact, but there is a lot of experience there. What's it like playing with these girls, and what are some of your expectations?
Yeah, I definitely think it's a change from not having Reagan. I think we move the ball really well, and our team chemistry is also really good. We just got back from a trip in Gatlinburg, and it was super fun, a lot of team bonding, and I feel like we all just really get along very well, and we're looking forward to get pretty far in the season.
Kind of the same there, thinking about this, Gaynor. When it comes to this group here, obviously we lost so many seniors from last year. Getting some of that, the camaraderie there with this group, I mean, how tough is that, and what's it been like so far?
Well, obviously it's hard losing DJ and Lee and Jake and all them, but I feel like the team last year learned at the end of the game to get that one last stop or to get that one last score. So I feel like, and we've been playing together for a while. Me, Will, Ethan, Brett, even Rocco have been playing together for 2 years now. So I feel like we have some good chemistry, and I think that we can be really good.
Chris Bozen with Raptor Athletics Live, guys. Glad to see you here. I'll start with Evan. You've been able to play on the AAU circuit. You've been traveling around the Southeast, playing with a lot of talent from the local area, but you're seeing talent from around the country. How do you think that is going to impact your play and what you bring back to the Raptors this season?
Well, playing AAU is, there's some athletes out there, so definitely it helps you defend, get you better at defense, get you better at offense, and you can just in AAU, there's so many close games that helps you for high school because like I said here, it's just getting that one last score, one last stop, and I feel we can do that this year. So yeah.
And Elizabeth, we talked about Reagan now playing at Tennessee Tech. What would you say is the biggest legacy she left for you that you're going to try to pass down to this team this season?
I think her emphasis on rebounding. I think this year, especially, we need to focus on rebounding, and I feel like she set a good example with that. I think she beat the school record on rebounding, actually, and I think that's something we need to look into this season.
I want to add something to the rebounding. Yeah, Reagan is our all-time leading rebounder. Our second all-time leading rebounder is Elizabeth, by the way. So I just wanted to make sure I mentioned that, and they've been playing together. So she loves the rebound. I think that's like her favorite part of actually playing. Sometimes it seems like she loves to go get the rebound. So I just wanted to give you your due, okay?
Thank you. Good job, Ravenwood. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'll keep it in mind, Jones.
Coach Whitlock, I'm just glad somebody's listening. Thank you. Don't believe everything you hear, Evan. All right, here we go. Next up, we got Paige High School. They're in the house now. Excited about having Paige. Coach Jared Street, the boys coach in year 2. Randy Kaufman, year 1. If you guys will come on up. Again, we're at Mojo's Taco in the factory. Appreciate them being our host tonight. We appreciate Walker Chevrolet, Adidas and Matthews Team Sports, obviously WCTV, who Lance West, they're bringing this to you live tonight. So we got Paige High School up. Coaches, if you would, introduce who you have with you. Give us some expectations for this year, and then we'll have questions from the media. Again, thank you for being here. Paige High School.
Jared Street got a senior point guard here with us. Grant Snyder was a huge contributor for our team last year. And you know, one of the things that I'm really proud of Grant is he's really found his voice to lead our team. We've got 9 sophomores filling out our varsity roster this year, so we're a young team. But you know, our kids have really improved from this summer and through our off-season workouts, and then these first couple weeks of practice. Just really impressed with how much this team has grown. You know, this year for us, man, it's a learning process. We're going to learn how to be varsity basketball players. We're going to try to be the best team we can be. There's going to be some bumps in the road, but I know with Grant, you know, as our senior leader, we're going to be in great hands.
Hi, I'm Randy Kaufman, and new girls coach here at Paige High School. Excited about being here. Excited about being back in Middle Tennessee. From East Tennessee, got a family here, and you know, I've been blessed with an opportunity to coach here at Paige High School this season. And beside me is a young lady that I'd take to a scrap with me right now. If that be the case, in Braylee Bushman. She's a senior, be one of our leaders in our basketball program this year, and certainly be one of our go-to kids as we move into the season. Outside of her, we have 4 other seniors that are on the roster, and we have a ton of young ones. So it's going to be a growth process for us. We've got 20 kids in the program, and 15 of those are freshmen and sophomores. So we feel like there's going to be a great learning curve as we move through the season, and we're just going to try to grow as we go. We didn't call any competition this year. Schedule's going to be tough for us, and you know, we feel like that builds tough minds and it builds tough players. So it's not going to be about wins and losses for us, especially early, with a trip to Jacksonville on deck. 2 tough games on Saturday, one with a county team here in Ravenwood, and then we open up tomorrow night with Mount Juliet. So it's going to be exciting times for us, and we're just going to keep growing, and we're going to use our seniors as our leaders for our young ones.
Hey guys, Charles with the Williamson Herald. Let's start on the girls' side. Braylee, I'd like to know a little bit about just how this team's makeup is going to kind of be like. I know after a couple years of having so many of the same girls playing side by side, now you got a lot of fresh faces. So just talk about that leadership role and what it's going to take to get this team back to that state stage.
Yeah, so we have a lot of young players, like Coach Kaufman said, and they want to learn. They're trying hard, and we're all leading them, and they want to learn, and we're all trying to be better. So I think this year it's going to be good for us.
Coach Kaufman, do you mind talking a little bit about what you've seen in terms of the camaraderie from this team to have that kind of mix of so much youth with just a handful of seniors?
Well, you know, you've got 4 kids that are returning that played good minutes last year. maybe not in a prominent role as Braley had, but certainly big pieces to the puzzle for us. And Sadie Porter and Mary Claire Pike, as well as Brooklyn Burrow. All those are going to be big contributors for us this season. We also have a transfer in Sabrina Espelette, and she's a 6-footer, going to help us have some depth in the forward spot. And, you know, as Braley said, and as I've said already, we've got some really talented kids. We just got to build some confidence at the varsity level, you know, with those kids. They're really a really good sophomore group and as good a freshman group as I've had in my 30 years of coaching. So we're excited about what the future holds. And we also realize that it's going to be a process for us this year. There's going to be ups, there's going to be downs, there's going to be growth spots, and we're just trying to attack those daily and try to be a little bit better tomorrow than we were today.
Coach Street, if you didn't mind talking a little bit about obviously last year was it was such a great run for you guys to make it into the postseason, big learning experience there too. This team's makeup, tell me a little bit about it, what to expect, and some of the guys we really need to be watching out for.
Yeah, I mean, you know, these guys understand the run we had last year. They understand that that's our goal every year, right? That's where we're trying to get to. Everyone is trying to get to Murfreesboro. Everyone wants to be in a sectional round. And, you know, we talk a lot about what's going to make us different than the other 85 teams in 3A in the state of Tennessee. You know, so our guys understand that, you know. Obviously, you know, Grant being a huge contributor to last year's team, and he's going to be equally that and probably more for us this season. Andrew Kikuya comes back this year running as a sophomore for us. He was probably our 6-man, 7th man last year, a really great shooter and a playmaker for us. We also, we had an individual transfer, Isaac Power, so we're excited to add him into the mix once football gets finished as well. You know, we've got a lot of the young kids. You know, players like Hunter Moss has really stepped up. We've got another junior in Calvin Kratarba who has who's once he gets done with football, we'll be excited to have him back as well. You know, our guys understand what we're trying to do, and they've really practiced that way. You know, we've talked a lot about practicing like a championship level team, and they're starting to understand that. Particularly with guys like Grant, who knows and saw what it took. Andrew, those guys understood the level of play it took to reach where we got to last year. So I'm really excited about our kids. Just like Coach Kaufman said, it's going to be a process with us. There's going to be ups and downs, just like it was last season for us in a lot of ways. You know, but we're hoping to be the best team we possibly can be, you know, when March comes around.
Braley, Tom Craig with the Tennessean. You are really the returnee with the most experience from last year's team, especially with what you guys did in the state tournament. What's it like kind of embracing that new role of being being the seasoned veteran and being looked at for leadership with all the freshmen and sophomores on this roster?
I'm excited. We have a new system, so it's different for us, but I think we're starting to finally understand it. We're playing really fast this year, and we have a lot of young girls, so it's definitely going to take a little bit more time for us than most teams that have all their players. But yeah, we're excited. Our goal is to get back to the state tournament, and yeah.
Coach Kaufman's, it's talking to you, Braley. Coach Kaufman's Twitter handle is 3s and D. I guess there's going to be still a lot of 3-pointers, you think, this year?
Yeah,
Is that
we want them 3s in the corners, so
Coach Kaufman, what's the biggest adjustment for you? And then also, can you talk about like the growing pains of it? You look at your roster, and there's so many freshmen and sophomores. Is it this matter of, hey, we got to think about the second half of the season when those guys have some experience?
Well, at the end of the day, you want to be your best at the end. So, we could have patty caked our schedule a little bit early and had false hope, or we could go. The standard's the standard, and we're trying to get our group to where they're playing their best in February, and our kids have kind of bought into that a little bit. If they haven't, they're getting preached to them every day. So You know, it's just it's not a you know, it's just not a sprint. I mean, it's just literally a marathon, and we're seeing daily improvement out of our kids, and we're celebrating those as we go. So there's going to be small victories along the way. And, you know, and I've told our 4 seniors, 5 with the transfer, that, look, I get it. It's hard. What we're asking her to do is hard. She's had a system in place for 4 years, and she's been in a comfort zone that, hey, man, I can do this, I can do this. And now there's this crazy guy coming in who's turned everything upside down and asked her to get out of her shell and out of her comfort zone to take on a leadership role that she was getting to kind of be secondary with in the past. So, you know, that's going to be growth for her. And I've already seen that start to occur. So, you know, we're not in any ways thinking we're the greatest basketball team on the planet right now, but we absolutely love our kids. We love our players. We love their locker room and their ability to be able to get along and take coaching and take tough coaching, have fun when it's time to have fun, and be serious when it's time to be serious. So we're just trying to put those things in place right now and then watch them get better as we move forward.
Coach Street, what do you take from last season? How can you build off of last season?
Our kids felt it, right? I mean, you can't. There's you can't put a number, you can't put a statement or value on experiencing a district championship game, a region championship game, a sectional game, you know, and we understand what those things felt like. We also understood what it took to get to those things, you know, and I think what's really important for us is having an individual like Grant, you know, and Grant understanding this is kind of his team. You know, this is his team to lead. This is his team to show. And so they understand what they want. And I tell you, we've got a hungry team. You know, we do. We've got a young group. They're hungry. They're ready to make an impact and put their kind of thumbprint, not only on Paige basketball, but on basketball in the state of Tennessee.
Players, been asking everyone, who's the toughest player you played against last year and why?
I'll just have to say when we played Fulton, that whole team is just we weren't really prepared when we played them because they were all aggressive. They're jumping past the lanes. They're physical. And, I mean, that's what just gave us trouble because we hadn't really played a team like that. But luckily this year, Coach Street's given us a tougher schedule, and we're going to play a bunch of teams that will prepare us for that moment.
I would say Southside, they just hit us last year, and we weren't expecting it. And they played fast, and they wouldn't let us in the paint or anything. But we've been in the weight room this year, so we're getting bigger and faster. So hopefully we get a different result this year.
Coaches, who's the player on your team that we don't know about, but I think that you think we're going to quickly find out a lot about?
You know, on the girls' side, it could come from different spots. You know, obviously you guys know Brady. She was an all-state kid last year. She's going to be a 1,000-point scorer for us soon. But we've got 5 sophomores that were county champs this year, and any of those 5 could step up in any given moment. There's one sitting right back there behind you right now that's a little sister of this one beside her, and I tell her all the time, you can be better than Braley. You're gonna be better than she is. Braley don't like me saying that, but we love that freshman group. They're an exciting bunch. The sophomores, I couldn't give you a name. I mean, I can throw out the names of those 5 kids. Mary Elizabeth Fox is a lefty that comes to mind that's been in some starting positions for us during our preseason work right now, and she's got an opportunity to really score it. And you know, we've got kids that have various roles. Avery Payne's the strongest kid in our program. She's a sophomore. And you go right down the list with those kids. Our starting point guard is going to be Mia Kabali, and you know, another tough-nosed kid. So, and I don't want to leave one out. Samantha Lee, a 5'10" long kid that brings so many different matchup problems for the other team. And then you take a kid like a Meredith Warner who can just flat out spot up and shoot it. So we've got some pieces. What we have to do is we have to get those pieces all on the same page. I tell people all the time, when they ask about our team, they say, you know, what about Paige this year? Well, I'll tell you about Paige. We got 12 kids we feel like we can play. And those 12 we feel like look like a lot of people's number 8, even our number 12. And so it's just a matter of us being able to plug them in and them feeling comfortable in a role.
Yeah, I'll give a quick very similar answer. I mean, we've got a lot of kids that could be very similar in that it depends on the night. But, for us, we're going to play 10, 11 guys. But probably some names that stick out to me. Pablo Hernandez, his brother Jaime graduated a few years ago. He was at Navy. Pablo's really come on for us. We have another sophomore in Josh Spinning, who has really grown and improved his skill level and game. Another one that's really just kind of, and I should mention too, Andrew Kikuya is going to have a good year for us. He's going to have a big year for us. His role is much bigger than last year. We've got another individual, Hunter Moss is another sophomore who's really just come out of nowhere. He's really come out of nowhere. I mean, I can list probably 3 other players because that's just what our sophomore class is made up of, and we're really excited about them as we kind of go through the journey this year.
Paige High School, thank you guys. Appreciate you being here. Next up, we've got Brentwood. Good job, guys. Brentwood High School coming up. We've got Coach Marcel Williams from the girls program, Coach Troy Bond, head coach of the boys program. Players, we can get you guys to sit in the middle next to your coach. Again, we're at Mojo's Taco in the factory. Still time to get down here if you would like to. Obviously, appreciate you being here on our live stream. WCTV, Walker Chevrolet, Adidas, Matthews Team Sports. We appreciate all you guys for making this happen. So here's what we'll do, coaches. If you would, introduce who you've got with you, talk about your expectations for the year, and then we'll take questions from the media. Again, Brentwood High School.
This is Troy Bond, head boys basketball coach, Brentwood High School. This is year 2 for us at Brentwood High School. I have Daniel Cochran, a junior, with me.
Marcel Williams, this is my 2nd year as head coach. I got Ella Ryan here, sophomore.
Season expectations, coaches, go ahead.
We've got a lot of expectations that have kind of grown over the last year and a half with our program. We came in last year with kind of a different style, especially defensively, and have really pushed our guys to kind of buy into that toughness. We've got the motto, bring the havoc, and I think that's something that we're starting to see our guys really kind of take a hold of and put ownership in. And I think all my teams in the past, the ones that have had that kind of ownership, especially the guard, have done really well. And I feel like that's what we're looking to have. The schedule's tough this year. Got a great league again, great competition, and it should be a challenge, but I think our guys are up to it.
My expectation this year, just want growth. I feel like it'll be a first half. Expectations will be growth. Second half, starting January, February, is more execution and see what we could do. Last year, I felt like we can get to maybe sub-state. This year, I have no idea. We got a lot of young girls, and I just want to see growth in every single one of them.
Let's start with the guys over here. Coach Bond, a little bit about the district makeup here. One of the things we've been talking a little bit on, the theme for tonight is just talking about this district as a whole, and then how excited you are about next year when everybody comes together too.
Well, I think definitely it'll bring back that old rivalry mentality in Williamson County. It was so good, scouting a lot of the games over the years, being in an outside district and knowing Coach Joins, and we had our battles back in the day, and just kind of keeping up with each other and seeing some of the huge games and having the opportunity to play against Brentwood when we were at Oakland, and just the atmosphere. I think that'll bring that back. I think a lot of teams weren't able to play each other twice, which having the home and home I think will add because the student bodies here are incredible. Schools really get behind the athletics and the programs, and it should be a lot of fun.
I'm piggyback off and just say I think it's going to be a dogfight every night. I feel there's some really great teams coming in. So on the girls' side, you just never know who can make it. I feel like, sadly enough, I feel like a bunch of teams can make it a stake, but only a couple will.
I'll stay with it here. Ella first off, if you didn't mind just talking a little bit about this season as a whole. I mean, I know it's been fun watching your sister already make some impact at the next level here, but there's a lot of young girls on this team. What's it going to be like being a leader for this team?
I think we have a great group of girls, and I'm confident that as we get some games under our belt, we can grow in our confidence. And I just think, it's all about just having good sportsmanship, being good teammates to each other, and just working together, because this year we might have some trouble with some teams, but we got it. I mean, we just got to put in the work, get some experience, and I feel like we can do some good things this year.
And for Daniel, a lot of guys, a lot of teams, everybody's got their eye on you as being one of the guys in this league a little bit. Just talk about that as a motivator, as a pressure feeling, all those kind of things, because there's a lot of eyes on you.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't really take it as pressure. I take it more of as just something that I know I should do. I'm capable of it. If they think I am, then I am. But at the same time, I have teammates and they're more than capable too. So I shouldn't get too caught up in myself and depend on them a little bit too.
Coaches, let's start with Coach Chabon, Tom Craig with Tennessean. Year 2 for you, totally redid what you guys done in the past. Is it better in year 2 after is this a lot smoother right now? Everyone in the program knows what to expect from you?
I think so. I think once you establish that culture that you're looking to you want to kind of, it's kind of like growing a garden, you want to kind of cultivate it and try to get everybody to buy in. And I feel like our guys have started to do that. We can do things now in practice and make decisions in different points in practice where last year you'd have to stop and really kind of go over it again, even just terminology. And so I feel like that's definitely an advantage for us this year as opposed to last year, kind of getting that foundation kind of started. And having a guy like Daniel Cochran really makes that easier. And our guys, one thing about them, they have a really close-knit relationship, and they love basketball and they love competing, and it's a good experience. I look for it to definitely be better this year for us overall, coaching-wise.
And give me an under-the-radar player that we don't know about today that we will know about soon.
Probably Philip Himes. Played some last year for us, did a good job, but really he's a senior. It's you can see him kind of step up a little bit more from a leadership standpoint. Phil's kind of a quiet guy, just leads by example, and has started to kind of be a little more vocal. Does a good job of shooting the basketball. He's kind of a long, rangy kid that real intelligent on the floor, understands how to play. Probably Phil being a guy that probably be the biggest impact of any of our new guys. Got a lot of new ones.
Coach Williams, for you, year 2 for you, but I guess the different thing for you, you were on staff before, so I don't think you really just reinvented the wheel when you took over. As far as putting a lot of it was probably similar stuff. Is it better now that they know what to expect from you as a head coach?
This year we got a lot of new girls. Half my team is freshmen or sophomores. Last year was a little bit more easier to me because I had Sydney, I had Caitlin, big-time seniors for us that kind of took over that leadership role throughout the whole season. So this year I'm more teaching. I think it's a rebuild for starting with Izzy Franco a long time ago to all those girls have graduated. So now it's a new regime coming in. So it's not as easy, but it's more teaching right now.
Who's the under-the-radar person on your team that we're going to know about soon?
I got a bunch. I got Anna Williams. I got Paige Morris. I got Ava Jarrett. I got Ella DeYoung. You definitely will know about them in about 2 or 3 weeks.
Coach, bringing in Ella, and obviously, I think she was your leading scorer returning from last year. Just what does she bring, and how has she progressed as a sophomore?
I think she had a good mentor in Sydney. So what she brings is just another leader. She saw her sister be a leader. Now she's stepping right into that role. Tomorrow we got a big-time game. So I think she's going to step into those shoes and be that same player that we needed from her sister and pass the torch.
Players, for you, best player you played against last year and why?
I would have to go with Jared Hall at Lebanon. He's just so bigger than anyone we played last year, and just really, if you let him, he'll do whatever he wants down there in the paint. So probably him.
I feel like there was no player in specific. I feel like us as a team, I feel like our biggest competitor from the district last year was Hillsborough, but I feel like we can come back this year from that. We just got a good group of girls this year, so I feel like we can work together and just overcome anything if we work together as a team.
Daniel, Chris from Raptor Athletics Live. How has your experience on the football field, do you think, translated over to the basketball court for you? What elements do you think are benefiting you most in basketball?
Really just knowing that I'm strong enough and big enough. If I can do it out there on the football field against those guys that are, probably bigger than most basketball players, then I should be confident in just my physicality on the basketball court with basketball players. But still got to be careful because sometimes I'll find myself pushing someone and that's a foul, so I shouldn't do that. But I'm just used to it now. So.
This is to both coaches, Brad DeShield, Dash to Sports, and WAKM Radio. When you bring a new team, like you're starting out the season, you've been practicing some, you kind of know what you have. What are the things that you look for when you put that starting five? You have to pick a new starting five every year. You lose a couple of seniors, maybe somebody transfers out. I know you're trying to look for the team, the person that plays the team the best, but what are things that you look for when you're trying to put that starting five?
Well, I think for us, a big challenge is we have 7 football kids, and so you have a really good football program. It does well, so you kind of get in that, which is a blessing in a way as well, is you get a chance to play a lot of kids and look at a lot of kids that normally probably wouldn't be in a rotation chance. And so for us, we kind of started back in the spring with spring practice, went through the summer, tried to get as much competition as we could, kind of put guys in tough spots to kind of see who could handle what. You obviously look for chemistry. Like right now, we're still trying to break down who's going to be in our rotation, trying to figure that out. Hopefully in the next week or two we'll be able to do that. And then start kind of building that chemistry with that group. So it's a challenge for sure, but again, that's one of those things you just kind of play with and figure it out.
For me, it starts on the defensive end. I look for girls that play defense. I turned a soccer player into one of the most lockdown defenders. I got a undersized post player that plays excellent post defense. So for me, it's all about defense, and I kind of build around that.
Thank you. Good job, Brentwood.
Thank you.
Independence High School next. You guys will come on up. Good job. Got Coach Mark Wilkins, boys program for Independence. Coach Tony Hill representing the girls program. If we can get the players in the middle. Players, you'll share that one mic in the middle. Coaches, your mic is on the outside. Coaches, if you would. Coaches, if you would, just tell us who's with you, and then give us sort of your expectations for the season, and then we'll open up questions with the media. Thank you guys for being here.
Hi, I'm Tony Hill, head girls basketball coach at Independence. I brought Leah Oob with me tonight. Expectations are high for us. We feel like we bring a lot of kids back, and we certainly set goals of finishing higher in the district than we did last year. Our goals are like anybody else. We'd like to win it, and we'd like to advance as far as we possibly can in region tournament play. So those are our goals. We returned several kids that played a lot of varsity minutes last year. However, those kids are still, in a lot of cases, sophomores and juniors, and maybe haven't played as much varsity basketball due to COVID and some other things. So, we're definitely excited about the season. Our expectations are to improve upon last year's record and last year's finish in the tournament. And we're ready to get going tomorrow night against Laverne at home.
Yeah, my name is Mark Wilkins. I'm the head boys basketball coach at Independence High School. We've got senior Josh Owens here with us tonight, and just really excited and blessed to be back, ready to have another year, second year for me here at Independence. And Expectations, we're not really shying away from it. We bring a lot of kids back from our last year's team. We know that there's a lot of eyeballs on us and how we're going to perform, and so we just kind of embracing that elephant in the room, if you will, from the very beginning. We had a great run last year in the postseason, and so we're hoping for that again, and hoping for more, of course, too. But I would say that we never expect it to happen either. We've got to know every day that it's no longer going to have to be just we're going to have to be people that are going to be hunted, and people are going to want to give some of our guys and our players, our team, their best shot every night. So we're expecting just to compete every night, and we're excited to see if we make another big postseason run.
Brad DeShield, Dash to Sports. How are you, Coach? Good to see you. Just wanted to talk about the elephant in the room, if you don't mind. We had a great run last year, lost at Lebanon in that final game there, one game away from state. What do you instill in you? But what is it when you talk to your team? And I know you take it one game at a time. You just try to get better as you go. But what is it that you are going to try to do a little bit different this year, if anything at all? And I know a lot of that's chemistry. You were a first-year coach last year. So how much of that team, now they know how you coach, now there's expectations that you have, how much of that does that play in to your run this year?
No, it definitely helps. I mean, Coach Bond was just talking about that with his second year. It helps a lot to have the familiarity, just how practices are going to be run, and what's expectations on game days, and so just the second year in general, it's off to a smoother start in a lot of ways. But as far as the on the court stuff goes, I think that it's a balance, right, of trying to be excited every day to play and knowing that having the confidence in yourselves as a team, but never taking anyone for granted. And so that's something we're still battling every day in practice. I think sometimes we think it's going to come easy. We're going to be right there again. That's not the case. In fact, we came up short last year in the region championships, how our team looks at it. It was great, but we were one tip in away from possibly winning it. But that's kind of been our motivation, is that we had a great end to our year, but there were still some bumps, things we could have wished we could have done differently. And so I'm excited just to be around this team because although we've had success, it's a super hungry team, ready to get back after it and maybe change some things from last year.
Coach Hill, Independence has gone through girls coaches here in the last few years. They've had a lot of turnover, and I think you kind of have brought in a stability that they haven't seen. How much of your steady as she goes mentality, how does that help the girls team this year and the success that you are going to try to achieve with them?
Well, I think continuity is so key when you're trying to build a program, and I'm here to stay. I love Independence. It's been my goal to be at Independence for a long time, and I just feel so blessed to be here. Administratively, couldn't ask for better administration, more supportive, and I just think the longer you're here, I'm noticing now in year two, the language that I speak to the kids in terms of terminology, I'm not having to explain things as much as we did last year. So I think as you go down the road with a team and a program, it certainly helps to have the same terminology. They're familiar with what you want. Expectations in practice have already been set from last year's team. So, I think continuity is so important to building a program. And, I think the more these young kids especially hear my voice and hear what we're trying to get done, I think the better we'll become as a program going forward.
Chris Bozen of Raptor Athletics Live. Coach Wilkins, you mentioned the region game, and Ravenwood and Independence went through some titanic battles a year ago, a double overtime. The environments at those games was incredible. I think Independence does a great job with their student section and things, but I was wondering, for you and your player, that growing rivalry with Ravenwood, it took a lot of steps forward from those games a year ago.
Yeah, we talk about it a lot. We do. I mean, it's just we don't really avoid it very much. And we had some good moments against them last year, but we also had some heartbreaking moments. And, if you kind of take a step back, I guess, and just watch it from the media standpoint and, maybe the Williamson County Athletic Director, it's amazing, right? But as far as a competitor, you always want something more, and our team kind of felt that way. And so we have different feelings, I guess, about those games. But you're right. I think that it might be us again and Ravenwood. It could be a lot of different teams in this league. I mean, it's just so competitive every year and every night. And what I learned in year one is that maybe things I took for granted in previous years of coaching doesn't really happen here. People are going to scout you out. They're going to know what you're doing. They're going to know your terminology and your kids. And so that's been impressive to me, just to see that the amount of good coaching and the discipline that's been fun to watch, and every game is exciting for sure. What would you say?
I'd say the same thing. You know, a lot of competitiveness between the two teams, especially seeing each other multiple times in the same year. It just brings a lot of competitivity to both teams, every individual for sure. So.
Hey y'all, Charles with the Williamson Herald here. I'll start with the players here on the girls' side first. Leah, if you didn't mind, just expand, talk about the culture change a little bit. Some of the shifts we've seen over these last couple of years. I mean, as a senior coming in and the expectations here, what's it like being one of the seniors on this team?
Yeah, it's great being a leader, and just we only have 3 seniors on the team, so it's different this year because we've always had more. And then this is the first year that I've had the same coach 2 years in a row, so it's definitely been easier this year because we're familiar with him.
In terms of having Coach Hill here, talk about some of his method, some of the things that he's kind of instilled with you.
Yeah, he's just trying to get us to play together and play smart and play hard.
On the other side, for Josh, this team, the makeup of this team, it's very balanced across the board when you look at it on paper. You add in a familiar foe in a sense there too, but just what's the camaraderie like playing with these guys?
It's great. We have 7 seniors this year, and a lot of them, didn't get a lot of varsity minutes, but they know what it's like playing varsity minutes, especially, going against the guys we went last year. And as one of the leaders on the team, I just try to get every guy to compete every single day, and especially what he's done. I mean, he came in last year. We were under 500, and we went 25-9 and beat some of the best teams. So, he changed culture a lot for us, and, we're better chemistry, and I have all the trust in him.
Coach Wilkins, expanding on that camaraderie side of things here, to have some height, to have some speed, to have the shooting. I mean, break this team down a little bit in some of the faces, and obviously there's Bradley Stewart coming in there too. What's his impact going to be like?
Yeah, we have some familiar faces coming back. We lost 3 great seniors, played a lot of minutes, but our Wilco Basketball Player of the Year, Jet Montgomery, is obviously coming back. And he's somebody that whenever I get to talk about him, I always love it that guys like Josh and Matt, never jealous. They want to get him the ball. They love to see him. They know he's special and works hard to get his moments. And so that's exciting. But we also returned an all-district player in Matthew Witt. That's just a phenomenal, just to watch. I mean, he's just so athletic, moves so well for his size and ability, really shooting the ball well now too. So that's fun to see him add that to his game. And then, the next guy on paper that a lot of people talk about is Tylen Lewis. He's a rising sophomore. I don't know of a more athletic guard, maybe in the state. And so, to have these guys kind of all come together, having great summers at AAU in spring, and to kind of see them coming back together is really fun for a coach. And then, Bradley moving over has been great too. He's been a great addition, and the guys have, a lot of them know him because they play AAU together, and, so they're friends. And so immediately, just jumped right in, and our guys accept him. We've got great kids here that just want to win and don't care who gets the credit, just want, Independence basketball to be on top.
Coach Wilkins, Tom Kroger, Tennessean. How much easier is it in year 2 where everyone kind of knows what you're doing? There's a lot more, the kids. How much easier is it as a coach?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, it's, Coach talked about the continuity of it. It's true, just knowing when you're going to practice, what you're wearing to practice, when you got to be in certain places. I mean, that's just such a learning curve that first year when you have a new coach come in. And so that's the part that I feel like we're taking a bigger jump, is that we can get to more basketball stuff because our kids, I guess, kind of know what we expect on and off the floor. And we always have room to improve. We've got a lot of things we got to do better, in those areas. But it's fun to do basketball. And, we have really talented kids that are really smart. And so as a coach, I'm just spoiled to be able to coach, I feel like, on a really high level, and especially in year 2.
Where have you seen Jet improve the most from the offseason?
Yeah, I think his freshman year, of course, I wasn't there for that. I think he was an elite shooter. I couldn't leave him. I think last year he was getting to the rim, and now I think he's mid-range and even deeper threes, whatever. It's just we're almost at a point to where we're surprised when he misses. And I know, that seems ridiculous, but he works hard. He's a tireless worker, and so he can now score at, multiple levels, and that's the part he's added to his game.
Coach Hill, first, go Hoosiers.
Yes, sir.
Second, just what is it like now? I mean, where they there's a lot more familiarity for you guys. Does it make, when you're trying to make those teaching moments, that, hey, they kind of know where you're coming from maybe now?
Oh, absolutely. I think, I think our district tournament last year gave us a little bit of belief. And then being able to compete in the region tournament, I think, was something that our kids had not been a part of in a while. And I think it gave them a good taste of what that looks like. And I think we're hungry to do that again. And I think that, you're going to see a lot of kids that have improved greatly over the course of the summer in our program. We had a great summer, had a great off season. And I think you're going to see some kids really improve from last year's performance. And I really feel good about the direction that we're going. We're not where we want to be yet, but we certainly are going in the right direction.
Last question for you guys, both coaches. Give me a player that we don't know about, an unknown player that we're going to know about in the next month.
I would say Braden Buck for us. He's a junior, rising junior. I think that's probably who Josh would say too. He's somebody in our program that shoots as well as Jet, and we don't say that lightly. He pushes Jet in a lot of our shooting drills that we'll do. And so he's somebody that's really worked hard in his game. And so Braden Buck, rising junior.
There's a lot of kids, like I mentioned, that have improved, but one kid that's new to our program that you don't know about, that you haven't seen in an Independence uniform, is Eden Oates. Eden's new to our program, and that's a face that we haven't seen in an Independence uniform yet. But, man, a lot of our kids have gotten so much better. I think you'll really see a transformation in a lot of our kids' skill sets and just basketball ability this year.
Thank you, Independence High School. Appreciate you guys being here. Nolensville High School will be next. There you go, Coach. That's good. Coaches, if you'll sit on the end, your microphone will be in front of you. Players, you'll share the one that's in the middle. So we got coaches on the end here, players in the middle. Players, you'll share that one mic. Coaches, if you'll get the one on the end. I was trying to think about this with the groups, but this may be, coaching-wise, our most experience in terms of being in WCS, and then least, not experience as a coach, but being in WCS. We got Coach Ladd, longtime coach here in Williamson County at multiple schools, and we're excited also to have Drew Gadice here doing a great job there with Nolensville. They both get wins last night to start the season. Really appreciate both of these guys and what they're doing. Nolensville High School, if you guys would, just introduce who you have with you. Give us some expectations for the season, and then we'll take questions from the media. Nolensville High School. Thank you, guys.
You go first. You're going to defer to the old guy. I've got Jenna Ruth Moyer with me. She's a senior. She is one of two that are left over from the 2020 state tournament run, so she knows a little bit about how good we used to be. This year, our expectations are just to, take it one game at a time, honestly. I know that's cliche, but I really like the group we have. I think we can do some special things this year, but I'm not going to get in front of myself and make a prediction. I just think it's going to be one game at a time. Hopefully we'll compete for, top 3 spots in the district.
Drew Gadice, Nolensville High School. Tonight I have Charles Winfrey with me. He's a senior. Very excited that he's our leader this year for a team where we're trying to really change how we do things, and he's had a great attitude throughout all of it. He's an exceptional leader. He's got great personality. Y'all probably see him leading up our student section on Friday nights. So he's a magnetic personality that really leads a lot of people. As far as our expectations for this year, I don't want to really avoid the question, but I'm probably in the healthiest headspace of all these coaches of I don't have a basis for comparison. I know we have some really good teams in this district, but I haven't had to face them yet on a night-in, night-out basis. So I get to really just focus on us being us and really improving each day, implementing what we're trying to become. So in terms of expectations, kind of a blank slate, really focusing more on ourselves.
Hey, Coach, it's Charles with the Williamson Herald here. First off, we'll start on the girls' side. Coach Ladd, you look at the roster here, you see some of I think you'd win the getting off the bus battle here in terms of height disparity and you name it. I mean, just talk about this team, the makeup of this team, and some of those names we're going to be seeing a lot of.
Yeah, we've got some size for sure. Emily Hunter is 6'6". She's a legit 6'6". She had a big game last night for us. Leilani Washington coming back at the point guard is a really dynamic player for us. JR is a really solid piece to what we do. I think, JR is such an unselfish player. I think, did you even take a shot last night? She had 7 assists, didn't even take a shot. So she's an unselfish piece to what we do. And we've added a couple of freshmen that I think will really help us this year that kind of give us some energy and some size. So, I'm really excited. We're continuing to grow and learn. And so it's, I'm excited to see what we're going to do.
Coach, in terms of the makeup of this team and getting introduced with these guys, what are you most excited about with this group?
Their readiness to be good, their readiness to change. For the positive, I acknowledge I'm the 4th head coach in 5 years. I'm Charles's 3rd coach in high school basketball. I know it's a really tough situation, but what I've enjoyed about them is that everything I've asked them to do, they've done it to the best of their ability, whether that's defend and rebound or show up in the weight room on time. So everything, they've done a great job of just wanting to, again, coaching cliche, but to buy in and do things how we're trying to do. So that's been exciting. On the court, I think we're going to be really good defensively. Scrimmages, we held both teams under 30% from the field. So defending and rebounding has been strong. Hopefully we can start taking care of the ball a little bit better and taking smarter shots.
What has it been like for this Chip from the Franklin homepage? What's it been like for you to deal with so many different coaches?
I mean, it's just a whole bunch of different systems for each coach, but I feel like with Coach Goodice and all the coaches I've had, it's easy to buy in when you see the end result, and all they're doing is just in the best interest of the team. So I feel like it's just having to get everybody to buy in, and once everybody buys in, it starts to flow. So.
Does your head feel like it's spinning in circles?
Sometimes at the beginning, but we know the path we're headed on this season, and we're trying to change, not even just for my season, but for future to come. So it's just locking in with the plan he has for the team.
And Coach Lev, how much do you use last year as motivation, and what can they learn from it going forward?
I don't really talk a lot about last year. I mean, every now and then we'll mention it, but we knew we were going to kind of have a down year. We were young again and kind of lost a lot. So our goal this year, and one of the things we talk about, is let's win more games than last year. So in that regard, we do mention it, but this is a new team. It's a new year and different challenges. So I don't dwell too much on that.
Tom Kroger, Tennessean. Coaches, thoughts on the redistricting for next year? How much you're looking forward to seeing an all Wilco league?
Yeah, I know Drew doesn't know much about Williamson County, but I'm excited for it. I mean, just got here. No offense.
Still have boxes I haven't unpacked in the house.
I think it's going to be exciting. I think it's going to be great for the fans, great for the media. We at Nolensville, we haven't experienced some of the rival games that when you play in the district in Williamson County. That I was part of it at Summit. Some of those games, really every game is just so crazy, and the crowd is just so huge. And I'm excited for these kids. Well, I guess you won't get to experience, but the school to experience that. Every night is such a big game, and you create those rival games. I think it's really good, and that from that standpoint, I think it's going to be a lot tougher to make it out for sure. But I think I'm all for it.
I'm looking forward to it as well. That's kind of one of the big reasons I wanted to come here. I think the way Darren leads this conference and everything that goes into it, I think it's going to be really fun that we're all together. And as a young school, we get to kind of build some of those new rivalries. Obviously, you got to compete in the games and win a few to really make them rivalries. But we're going to do our best to get there.
Coaches, who are the players on your team that we need to know about that we don't know about this year? That it's kind of the unsung guy or gal, the person that didn't fill up the box score last year that you expect big things out of that maybe we don't know about.
On the boys' side, Lucas Pring is kind of a dirty work glue guy. He took 2 charges last night. His impact on the game just isn't going to show up in points scored. But we really need him to be successful in terms of terms of our defensive efficiency, protecting the rim, those sort of things. Charles had a double-double last night, and Jaden had 30 points. So guys know who Jaden Clark and Charles Winfrey are. But Lucas Pring will be one. B.J. Hall is a freshman that I think will catch some eyes. He's special. He does things that every coach wants a kid to do, and you just don't know how to coach it. But then he also does everything that the coach tells him to do. So he's pretty special.
You didn't mention Carson Ladd, Coach.
Carson Ladd almost had a 4-point play last night.
Oh, no kidding. For us, I think this one right here is going to be one to watch with JR. I think she's going to have a breakout year. But if you're talking about points, Emily Hunter obviously is a name to watch. A freshman, Addie Weeman, she's probably another one to watch. And really last night we had really balanced scoring. We had about 8 girls to score 5 or 6 points. So hopefully they're all going to be ones to watch.
Talk about your district. Who are the teams that beat in your district?
I mean, it's the teams that are here in Williamson County. You know, Ravenwood obviously can be strong again. Independence, you heard Coach talking how they've improved. So Columbia is the only team that's not with us. Summit, you know, Coach Wild's going to have them shooting threes all over the place. So it's tough. I mean, it's hard to sit here and say who's going to be number one, but I know we're going to have to fight and claw to be up there with them.
Same on boys' side. Independence and Ravenwood would be my suspects from what I got to see this summer. Saw Jet Montgomery make 8 threes and a half. So we'll have to figure out a way to limit that best we can. Chuck.
Chris Bozen, Raptor Athletics Live. And Charles, I have to tell you, I think that in my mind, Nolensville may be the most improved team coming into this season, the talent that you guys have, and I've got you guys up there competing for that top spot. I'm wondering, from you being with your third coach here, what's going to be different about the team this year? What dynamically can we look for when we see you guys on the court?
This year, I think our overall demeanor, just how we present ourselves on the court, especially taking pride on the defensive end. Big emphasis we have is turning defense into offense. So I think you'll see an improvement on limiting other teams to scoring as much as we did last year. And on the offensive end, we'll just keep on improving. But I think we'll be really underrated and a solid team this year.
We're definitely looking for you. Jenna Ruth, Coach mentioned you're one of the left players remaining from that great 2020 team that had that run to the state tournament that was shut down due to COVID. And I'm wondering what the disappointment of that loss of that competition, how that's maybe changed the way you savor now this your senior season.
I think that the seniors really showed me, like, as a freshman, I got to go in for a few minutes and they would always help me and just pat me on the back. So now that I'm a senior, I'm kind of trying to bring that with me a little bit, knowing that we might not always like have the skill level that those seniors had, but I always will keep like the positive energy and the like courage they always gave us all to have.
And Coach Ladd, we saw Emily last year, I remember, and you're absolutely right. You notice her in a crowd for sure. But what about her evolution and development? What's a little bit of her background? I understand maybe I don't know if she grew up playing basketball or kind of came late to the sport.
Yeah, she grew up in Nolensville, and they moved away to Japan when I think she was in 6th grade. And she walked back in 2020, and like, okay, I knew the family and knew her father, so. She credit to her. She has worked hard. She has a personal trainer. She plays travel basketball. Of course, we work with her, so she's doing a lot to really be more athletic and be more explosive. And it really showed last night. Hopefully, it's going to keep showing this year.
Thank you, Nolensville High School. Good job. Appreciate it. Next up, we have Summit High School. Thank you, guys. Coach Jim Fay, representing the boys program, as we talked about before. Coach Edwards, sitting in for Coach Wild tonight. If we can get our players here in the middle. Coach Fay, you'll be down here with me. So, coaches, you'll have the mic on the end. Players, you'll share the one in the middle. Do want to, again, before they get started, want to thank Mojo's for having us. Really appreciate them having us here. Thanks to members of the media You guys make this what it is. You can't have media day without members of the media, so we thank you guys for covering us not only tonight but all year long. Thank the group from OTL here as well. Obviously, Walker Chevrolet, Matthews Team Sports, and Adidas as well. Again, Summit High School, if you guys would, introduce who you have with you tonight, and then just talk about some expectations for the season, and then we'll take questions from the media. Summit High School, thank you.
I'm Jim Fay, coach at Summit High School for the boys team, and I have senior Alex Pollard with me to my right.
I'm Jessica Edwards, filling in tonight for Coach Wild, who couldn't be here. I'm an assistant coach there, and I have Quinn Johnston, a junior guard for us.
Talk about those expectations, Coach.
I'll go. Yeah. Coach Wild has extremely high expectations for our girls. You know, the level of toughness that he expects from them, I think will carry us far this year. Grit. We have a senior point guard, but other than that, we're pretty young as far as varsity experience goes. And so that toughness, I think, will help us do well this year.
We have an extremely young squad as well. We have Alex, who's a senior, and he's flying solo in the senior class. So we need a lot of leadership from him. Our expectations are to grow together as a team, develop some chemistry, and compete on a regular basis in a tough district. Our district and region is really tough, and we're out there trying to build something that's going to last and endure and be consistent over time. So I think we're really working now because of all the transition over the last couple of years with COVID and everything else, trying to get everybody on board and all have the same philosophy and same vision for what our program can be and should be.
Coach, Coach Fay, can you talk about first next year having a united Williamson County League? I mean, it's got to be something that, you know, one's going to make scheduling a lot easier, not as many games, but just having everyone back together next year. How much are you looking forward to that?
Well, from a competition standpoint, it's not a problem. I mean, we pretty much play everybody anyway. From an equity standpoint, I don't really care for it. We've got 20 schools in our classification of 4A. Congratulations to those schools. They've already made the region tournament because there's only 4 schools per district in those 5 districts. I don't think that's equitable and right. Williamson County has some great schools. We have some great coaches and competition, and we're going to beat each other to death. And it's going to be a bloodbath on a regular basis, and that's fine because we're all competitors. But we're going to do that having an 8-team district. And other folks are going to rest up and waltz in. I don't even know that they need to have a district tournament in these 5 districts. They just need to tell them who's going to be 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Coach, give me a guy. I mean, obviously just one senior, so there might be several. But can you pinpoint a person on your team that we don't know about, that maybe that didn't play a lot, but you expect big things out of this year?
Yeah, I would say Caden Feste. He's a junior for us. He came off the bench last year, did some good things for us. He's really a spark plug for us, and he's one of our leaders along with Alex. He is a guy that probably is not the highlight reel guy, but he's the guy that's going to give us tempo and be able to attack the rim and set everybody up for success. And I think he's somebody we're really going to rely heavily on this year.
Coach Edwards, just for you, same thing. Who's the unsung person, the unknown person on the girls' side that we don't know about that we will learn quickly about?
Yes, I definitely think for us, one of those players would be Jaden Pittman. She's playing inside for us this year. She's a junior, but has not had many varsity minutes up to this year. She is a multi-sport athlete. She works hard. we really are going to go to her for our rebounding this year. She has the potential for double-digit rebounding every single night, and that's kind of our expectation for her.
Players, what's the strength of your team this year?
I definitely think for us, I would say we're a pretty smaller team, so shooting on the outside, just doing the best that we can. Our posts are really doing a good job rebounding this year. That's one of our main focuses, so I definitely think if we can get up a lot of outside shots, regardless if they go in or not, having those posts there to rebound and put them back up is really going to be helpful for us.
As she said, we are very small too. We take pride on defense, and we are very young, so if we continue to work together, I think that we'll have a very good season.
We'll keep it with the players. This is Charles with the Williamson Herald. First off, let's start on the girls' side. Quinn, wasn't that 9 3-pointers to open the season? I mean, how does that kind of showcase what this team can do here early on?
Yeah, it was a really good game last night. The energy in the gym was really good. I think for the first game of the season, everybody just came to play. We started off a little rough, but then as soon as we got comfortable, we just kept going. I know for me personally, just the more I shoot, the more comfortable I feel, and so just kept going. Sometimes I get a little discouraged, but I just know that I just have to keep shooting. That's my job on this team, is to shoot and to just be a leader for those girls. And I can just do my best to encourage every single girl to just keep shooting, just keep trying. Like, no matter if you're making it or not, you can't make them if you're not trying.
Alex, can you talk a little bit about the makeup of this team? Obviously, we're seeing a lot of fresher faces. We lost a couple faces there at the same time, too. What are some of your expectations in terms of just how this team can grow throughout the season?
Yeah, we did lose a lot of great players, but we can't dwell on the past. We got to focus on the future. And I think that if we come together and buy into what Coach is telling us, that it'll all work out in our favor.
Coach Fady, you mind kind of expanding on some of those players we're going to see stepping into big roles here, and then what do you feel like they're going to do in terms of growth throughout the year?
Yeah, hold on just a second. I think Quinn just hit another three. We've got some guys that are really working hard. It's been a fun group to be with this year. The atmosphere as a whole has been tremendous. Marty Phillips is somebody that jumps off the page to me. Marty is a ball player. He may not go down as a world-class athlete sometimes, but he is one of the absolute best basketball players that I've had the opportunity to work with. I think he's just a sophomore. I think he's really growing, and I think he's going to be a tremendous asset for us. And I've got some other kids. Makai Ratcliffe has come off the football field. He's really starting to come around. And then we've got some young guys. Michael Crutcher is a freshman for us, and I think he's going to be one of the better players that we've had come through our program, definitely since I've been there. But I think he may be somebody that turns heads for the history of the school. I think he has that opportunity. And I think this is just a great opportunity here for Alex to make his mark in terms of leadership and get these guys on the same page and help them establish themselves. And it shouldn't be, we'll get it started and see what they do in the future. I think he can help, Alex can help, and I think he can help mold these guys as well in terms of being successful now.
Chip from Spring Hill homepage. Quinn 9 is pretty remarkable for one game. What's kind of going through your mind as they keep falling? And what was the most you ever had in a game before that?
So yeah, what's going through my mind mainly is just keep shooting. Like, that is my favorite thing to do, is just go out on the court and to just keep shooting. So definitely just the more I make, the more my confidence builds, and the more I'm just give me the ball, just give me the ball. I just want to keep shooting. I would say the most I made previously, I think, was maybe 7 last year when we played Franklin. But yeah, this is definitely up my new record now to 9.
Coach Edwards, same thing. What's kind of going through your mind when she keeps dropping them like that?
Oh, I'm thinking keep calling plays to run to her so she can shoot them, She definitely, her percentage last night was 50%. So she was on, and we're going to give her the ball, when she's on. But the thing about Quinn is, if she is not on, she can produce other ways. She can drive. She can offensive rebound. She doesn't turn over the ball. So there's so much more to her as a player, when she's not hitting, which doesn't happen often.
Coach Edgeworth, real quick too, actually looking at the makeup of this team, thinking of the Claudettes and the Sydneys that are gone now, it just seems like Jaden really will be a big factor there. But are you a little faster? Are you what's the style of the play going to be like now?
Yes, I think that's one of the main differences with this team compared to the last few years. Is we are looking to score in transition anytime we can, and Jaden, being one of our taller players, is one of our fastest. She can get up and down the court, and so utilizing the transition for scoring between Nicole, Quinn, I mean, really everyone this year is fast. Yeah.
Chris Bozen, Raptor Athletics Live back here. And last year you all stopped Ravenwood from getting that undefeated district record. You handed them their only loss. And Quinn, going into this season now, without Reagan Grimes at Ravenwood and some of those things, they may not be the favorite anymore. You guys are kind of moving into that. What's the difference in moving into having the target on your back a little bit as being the one that's doing the hunting?
Yeah, I definitely think it is a little bit different for them without Reagan Grimes, but I know that we can kind of come out. I think that it's going to be a very tough game this year. They've still got some pretty good competitors like Elizabeth Flynn, Natalie Prestigar. There's still some really good talent there, and I just know that we just have to come back and counterbalance that. We just have to just play the best game that we can play. I definitely think, expectations are starting to rise now because we know we have so much talent. So we just have to go out there, just play the best game that we know how to play, run as fast as we can, transitions, rebound, just shoot the ball well, and just overall just play the best we can.
And Alex and Coach, what is it like being the lone senior? Usually those classes, those seniors take that leadership role, and it's a group of them, but you've got it all on your shoulders. And are you enjoying that? Is that something you're going to enjoy doing?
It's something that I definitely didn't expect. When I was a freshman, I think we had 13 or 14 freshmen. And to be the only senior, it's kind of weird. But I've kind of taken that role to heart. And, yeah.
And, Coach, have you been in that situation before, or is this the smallest senior class you've ever had?
That's a lot of years gone by, so trying to keep up with that. I would say this probably has to be my smallest senior class. I think I've had one year where I had two. But the thing I've noticed about Alex is I've already seen growth. I've seen growth, not just how he works with the other players. I've seen growth in how he's played because I think he understands and realizes how important it is for him to push that atmosphere of how to be successful as a player, because sometimes young players are not sure what their roles are going to be. They're not sure about how they can contribute, and some of them do too little, some do too much. And Alex has come in and from his time as a freshman to a senior, I've seen him, especially on the offensive end, he is night and day different from where he was. And he was always been a good offensive player, but now he's a complete team offensive player, and that's going to benefit us a lot.
Brad DeShield, Dash to Sports at WAKM Radio. Coach Fay, talk about, I know last year when we were at this media guide, Summit was one game or two away from a state championship you run. You had some athletes that were on the football team that weren't able to come over and play basketball, which is obviously let's face it. I mean, they were very great athletes that are now at Kentucky. Talk about, do you have guys that are in that transition part now, or are you pretty with the team that you have? How many athletes do you have that are two-sport players, or don't have as much to worry about that this year?
Interestingly enough, I think we only had two football players come over, and both of those players are started for us last night. Okay. That was Michael Crutcher and Makai Ratcliffe. And it is different, but the thing that benefits us the most, it's not the fact that we have fewer players that are multi-sport athletes. The thing that benefits us the most is that we have more guys spending more time in basketball-related activities to help get us ready. So there's fewer there's fewer interruptions. And I think one of the big problems over the years, you have injuries, you have people coming from, great runs in the state football playoffs and things like that. And it's almost like you have to start your season completely over again when you bring the next group of players in, whether it be from injuries, whether it be from different sports. And I think us being able to get the consistency and have a real understanding and knowledge of who we're going to have playing, that helps us a lot because we can really focus in on that. And honestly, it's more about who we have as opposed to who we don't have.
Jessica, a question quickly for you. I always break the season up at basketball pre-holiday and post-holiday. You go in after the first of the year, you start running all your conference teams. You have some tournament. Talk about your schedule between now and up till Christmas. What is it you expect to attain, or how do you expect to get the team on the right track between now and then?
Yes, so all preseason, we've categorized our season in that way. Come January, we need to be able to do these things. And so really for us in February and December, and Coach Wild says this over and over, we are getting this much better every single day, so that when we make it to January, to the conference schedule, we are where we need to be. So we're not looking to be perfect right now, especially with the younger girls, just breaking it down and getting a little bit better every day so that come January, we are ready. Yeah.
Thank you, Summit High School. Good job. Next up, we'll have Fairview High School. Come on up, Fairview. Coaches, if we'll get you guys to sit on the ends. We'll have the athletes in the middle. Players, you'll share a mic in the middle. Coaches, you'll have the mics on the outside. Again, we're coming to you from Mojo's Tacos. We certainly appreciate WCTV for providing this live stream. We appreciate members of the media for being here. Appreciate Walker Chevrolet and Brock Daly for sponsoring this. Tate Matthews, Matthews Team Sports, and Adidas. Coach McGowan signing autographs back there in the back, it looks like. Good to see you, Coach. Appreciate you guys being here. Coaches, if you would, introduce who you have with you tonight. And then before we take questions from the media, if you'll give us sort of your expectations for the season. Fairview High School, thank you guys for being here.
I'm Coach McCoy, boys coach at Fairview High School. I've got a junior guard here, Maze McCoy.
Wayne McGowan, girls basketball coach at Fairview High School. I've got junior point guard Gigi Harris.
Talk about those expectations, Coach. Start with Coach McCoy.
As far as expectations, our expectations at Fairview is always to go to state. I mean, that's what we're trying to get to. We've had 2 chances to bust through and fell short 2 times, so we're hoping 3rd time's a charm. I've got a group that is a good mixture of youth and experience. Some guys that have been there, done that. Some guys that have played together since they were 5. I've actually coached this junior and senior class since they were 5, 6 years old. So they enjoy playing with each other. If I close the gym, they find one to open. So my expectations are is we have a great time while we're in the gym. We enjoy this run, and we go as far as our talent and good Lord will let us.
Our expectations are we're going to get better every day at practice. We've got a very young group, 4 juniors, 4 sophomores, and 4 freshmen, so we're very young, and we're just going to go as far as we can. We're going to work hard every day.
We'll start on this side. Coach McCoy, Charles with the Williamson Herald here. You talk about having this group for so long, and I know one of these guys you see every day. You also have another son coming up on the team here as well, too. Just what do you get from coaching someone for that long? I mean, you've had these guys with you for so long, and how does that make you so excited about entering this season then, too?
The biggest thing is I'm a relationship guy when it comes to coaching, especially. That's what I love about it. I think most coaches do. I like building the relationships, and so when I've got a group that I've had this long, it's kind of established. It kind of is icebreaker, and we speak the same language. We get the same inside jokes, and it just makes it fun. I think high school sports should be fun for the kids. I think it's an experience for them. I think it's up to the coaches to provide that. So when there's some familiarity there, it just kind of makes it all easy. It feels like family, and that's the kind of culture we try to create.
I'll kind of go down the line here. Mays, obviously coming off the football season, coming in right away here too. What's it like, first off, playing for Dad, stepping into that role as a leadership guy too as well?
It's just, it's fun. I mean, it's always fun having your dad right there because it's almost as a dad and coach. I mean, it's just like, I know I'm in great hands and great leadership under me, so it just makes my job much easier.
For Gigi, thinking of this team here, looking back and seeing like a Riley, seeing like a Casey, some of the girls that have just, it seems like they've been playing Fairview ball for a long time. Being a leader for this team, what's that like, and what are some of the challenges you're expecting here?
Watching Riley and Casey definitely helped a lot. I watched him all through middle school and 2 years in high school, and that helped a lot. And I just accepted my role and stepped up.
Coach, can you talk a little bit about the camaraderie you're seeing from this team so far, and just some of the expectations of growth?
Great camaraderie at the start here right now. Had an excellent summer. Watched them bond. Great group of kids to coach. Great group of kids just to be around. Our expectations are, like I said earlier, is we're going to get better every day. You know, Coach Trey was talking about relationships. That's one of the huge parts of coaching. We've built a relationship with these young ladies where I can pretty much holler at them and they're just like, yes, sir, but they love it. So our expectations, we're just going to continue to work hard.
Chip from the homepage, Coach McCoy and Mays, after coming so close to make the state last year, what's the mindset this season?
To learn from it. That's the biggest part. Is to try to become as bulletproof as you possibly can. This will be my 6th year there. We've come close twice. My first year and then last year against Milan. We talked about after game 1 last night. We have the skill and talent. You know, we've got the athleticism. We've got the full package. Now it's just all the intangibles. You don't get the Murfreesboro on a wing and a prayer. You have to be the complete total package. So this group just cleaning up the details. I think you have to be very detail oriented. The maturity piece of it, I think the mindset of not getting distracted by factors we can't control. That was a big issue in the game at Milan. There was a lot of side stuff going on all around us. So it was kind of chaos, and so just trying to make this team a little bit more mentally tough and prepared to make that long run.
I mean, yeah, kind of what Coach said. I mean, we've been there now, so we've experienced it, seen it all. It's just about putting all the pieces together and coming through as a group, and just knowing we have one goal in total, and that's all we got to achieve.
Chris Bozen, Raptor Athletics Live, and next year when the district realigns, there'll be the WCS teams will all be there in one, except for Fairview. So I'm wondering from the coaches, what are we going to do to get? You've got Paige, you've got Nolensville Indy on the schedule this year. What are we going to do to get everybody else on the schedule moving forward?
I love playing Williamson County. If I could play an entire Williamson County schedule, I'd do it. I am very confident in our program and Coach Wayne's program that we can compete on any given night with anybody, not only in our county but in the state. So our mindset is if you want to achieve the mountaintop, you've got to play everybody to get there. So I would love to play everybody in the conference. I would love if we had a county tournament. I think that'd be a great idea. We've kind of talked about that type of thing, but yeah, Fairview would love to be a part of that.
You know, when they started the realignment, we thought that's what was going to happen. We thought it was going to be mostly Williamson County schools. And then we saw that some of the Williamson County schools went up. So, you know, we figured that was going to happen, and we look forward to it if it does.
Mays, for you, I wanted to ask you a little bit about your supporting cast. I've seen Nathan Dillingham play a good amount. He's an explosive player. Maybe on some other teams he'd be a leader on that. But what about some of that supporting cast that you've got on your team?
Yeah, Nathan's been my best friend since I was 4. We've been playing basketball for as long as I can even think of. So just knowing I have another guy that I can trust with the ball in his hands, it feels real good because it takes a little stress off me, and just know that if I'm having a bad game or etc., that I know someone else is going to step up.
Yeah, Mays, saw you last week at the Dash to Sports out at Jefferson's. We do the live WAKM remote. I'm sorry that you guys didn't go one more step in the football thing, but it's great to see you back on basketball. Do you have a favorite sport?
It's basketball.
Basketball is your favorite, yeah. Last week it was football. No, I'm just kidding. It's great to see you guys up there looking for a big season. I know last year you gave Independence all they could handle last year, took it to them. Talk about that game a little bit. I know you were talking about county games, Coach. You know, you're talking about you'd like to play all the county. I'm with you on that tournament. Maybe you Dash to Sports need to put a big tournament together and have a big county-wide tournament. I think that'd be a lot of fun. But talk about, you know, that game last year, and then, again, you've got us coming up right after the first of the year. Talk about that game a little bit.
We knew going into that game that Independence was one of the teams to beat in the, in their conference and county. They're very talented, and they're probably better this year. They're a year older. They've added some players moved in and whatnot. So as far as that game for us, we knew we had a good team last year. I mean, it wasn't like we were surprised that we were good and that we could play. But we knew that was the test. That was the litmus test. And, whether it proved anything or not, I don't know. To my guys, it gave us some confidence. I think there for a while it may have gave us a little too much confidence because we never shot the ball again that well after that game. So we may have used them all up. So I felt like that was the biggest difference in our team last year. If we shot the way we did in practice and the way we did against Independence, we probably would have went to Murfreesboro because scoring was the issue against Milan. This year, moving forward, I look forward to it. I mean, I would be lying if I said we didn't circle that. That, like I said, that's our litmus test. That's a bigger school. They're super talented. They've got some great players on that team, well coached, and it'll let us know where we're at when it comes January when the game comes up.
Coach McGowan, looking at your lineup there, don't have a lot of height and not a lot of seniors. I don't see any on the team. So talk a little bit about, I know we talked about some of the players that you're looking to step up, but as a coach and you come in and you don't have that senior leadership, that's sometimes that's important to have that one, or even if it's just one or two players, they may not even be starters, but they're sitting on the bench saying, hey, we can do this, that kind of thing. Talk about how important is that to have some of these juniors then now be your team leaders?
Well, having Gigi and Anna Marie Brown, they both played quite a bit last year. I've got two sophomores now that played some last year. So, we've got those leaders that we need, and all of them can play. And that's the good thing. They can actually play. There's not one that you can leave open. So, having them step up, and it's going to be a lot on Gigi's hands because I always tell us my point guard is my coach on the floor. So a lot of it's going to be on her. He was talking about the Williamson County schools. We're actually going to play. We've got Nolensville tomorrow. We're going to play Brentwood in the Independence tournament. We're going to play Independence in the Independence tournament. We're going to play Franklin also. So we're going to play quite a bit of. We got Paige on the schedule. So we've got quite a bit of the Williamson County schools on there.
And both players, how tough is the schedule in your eyes this year?
Kind of like Coach said, I'm confident with our team. I feel like I like our schedule. I would way rather have tough games than an easy game. That's just how I am. I like competitive games. So, but I'm also very confident in my team too. So.
I'm with Mays on that. I'm really confident in our team and how we are together because we have really good chemistry and just playing tough teams. I'm just competitive like that.
Real quick, coaches on both sides, we talked we'll start with you, Coach McCoy. We talked a little about Mays, talked a little about Nathan there too. Give us some other names we need to be on the lookout for, and we'll be seeing plenty of.
I'm sure, yeah. So we've got a good mixture this year. I've got a balanced group of seniors, juniors, a couple sophomores, and I've got one standout freshman. So we've got a good mix for not only this year but moving forward. But last night we opened up against Santa Fe. That's become like a tradition. And John Sawyer, a senior, I mean, he's a 6'7" kid that I can't believe is still as unknown as he is. He was injured his sophomore year, so he missed his whole sophomore year. I actually had to beg him to play his freshman year. When he came out of middle school, he didn't want to play anymore. And he's another one I've coached since he was 5 or 6. But John had 26 very easy points last night. Can play above the rim, long, rangy, extremely smart kid, can shoot outside, can handle the ball. If we did this at the end of the season, we would probably be talking about John a lot. I mean, he's going to have a great season. He's just that he's an unknown. Nathan Dillingham's another one that was mentioned. Nathan played a lot of minutes last year, but the stats didn't really support it. And what you're going to see this year is an extremely athletic guard that can shoot when he comes across half court, can get to the rim, and he's become a very, very good defender. So I'm super excited about him. We just kind of have a great balance of kids across the board. Jacob Neal's been a solid senior post defender for us. And we got Bryce Embry. He's kind of in a new role this year, following the footsteps of his dad, who is, I don't know if he's our leading scorer. He claims he's the leading scorer in Fairview. He may be, but he was a heck of a player. I played alongside with him. But Bryce is a great shooter with athleticism. He's figuring it out. So I'm very excited about this group this year and beyond.
Coach, if you didn't mind breaking down the team a little bit too, and just some of the girls we'll be watching for and some of the names we'll get a little more accustomed to.
Okay, of course you got Gigi Harris, or Genesis Harris, right here, the point guard. Had a super night last night running the show. You'll have Anna Marie Brown, Jr., post girl, who is very, very underestimated. Who could rebound, finish at the hoop. You have sophomore Grace DeRee, another big girl that is unknown, just moved in back in January from Hickman County. Emma Sharp, who is, I guess her last name says it all. She's a sharpshooter. Knocked down a 3, can attack the rim. Maddie Brewer, sophomore, can do the same, shoot the 3 ball, attack the rim. 15-foot pull-up is her best shot. And then you'll have a freshman, Madison McGowan, my daughter, that is going to help, just a very role player, just loves to compete. Am I missing anybody? Addie Sullivan, who is actually a very, very good softball player, decided to pick up basketball when she was a freshman, had a stellar summer, and I think people are going to be surprised about her as well. Never played the game before.
Coaches, thank you. Players, appreciate it. Fairview High School. Our last group up here will be Centennial High School, last but not least. Thank you, guys. Charles from the Herald had to turn around and smile at me when Coach McCoy was talking about he wants to play all the WCS schools, so I was excited about that answer too. Appreciate that, Coach McCoy. Centennial up next. They're last but certainly not least. In fact, Coach Hamilton and player he's got with him, A.J. Lynn, they came in on 2 wheels earlier. They had a game tonight. They won, so that's exciting. We got Coach Jeremy Moore representing the boys team. We'll have the players sit here in the middle. Coach Hamilton representing the girls team. Coaches, if you would, as we get started here, introduce who you have with you. And then once that's done, if you would, give us some expectations for the season. Again, Centennial High School, appreciate you guys being here.
Well, thank you for having us. Once again, I'm Coach Hamilton. This is A.J. Lynn, a junior guard with us. AJ, we're glad to have AJ back, a very good player, a very good leader. She had an injury last year and didn't get to play, and just super excited about her being with us this year. So we're very, very grateful for that.
All right, I got with me Dominic Reed. Dom was the reigning district MVP last year. He'll be a junior. Really high expectations for him as well as our team for next year, or this year, excuse me. We got 4 seniors that are provide us with great leadership. And then we've got a couple of juniors, Dom included, but he's got a sidekick named Tanner Lee, who's a pretty good player as well. If you guys followed football at all, you probably heard their names mentioned a time or two. But, you know, I mean, our expectations are always really high. We're playing a really tough schedule to hopefully get us prepared for a late postseason run.
Coach, MVP, that's as good as it gets. What are some of Dom's best traits, and do you recall any of his stats from last season off the top of your head?
Yeah, as far as stats, obviously I think I'm right on this. About 16 points a game, 7-8 rebounds a game, shot a super high percentage from everywhere but the 3. And great thing about it, though, is, you know, last night we played our first game. He's 2 of 2 from 3. So he's added kind of another tool to the toolbox that will make him that much more difficult to guard. But, you know, to do what he did as a sophomore in a tough district was, you know, I've never had a kid as a sophomore just play that consistent. Most of the time your young guys are up and down and kind of never know what you're going to get. But he's just super consistent, you know, played the last game in the region quarterfinals with a broke foot. Couldn't practice all week and just was not going to be told no. If I turned my head at practice, he's on the court. But, you know, played that game and wasn't himself, but he's still just, that's the kind of kid and that's the kind of person he is, you know. For all the basketball and football accolades that he gets, he's a much better human being. Great leadership, always has a smile on his face, and that's a tribute, you know, to his mother, who's actually back there. Miss Candace did an unbelievable job raising 2 boys. He had a brother that graduated from the team last year. He's at Memphis right now. But just, you know, absolute pleasure to coach. I'm sure you guys hear all the time about, you know, when your best player is your best practice player, it makes my job pretty easy. And he's by far the best practice player every day. He brings great effort, great attitude, coachable, just a sponge for knowledge of the game. You know, I think football comes a little bit natural to him. Basketball he's had to work for. So I think there's an appreciation for the game of basketball. And, you know, let's face it, basketball is a little better sport than football, I think. But super kid, super pleasurable to coach, man. I love coming to work for guys like Dom.
Chris Bozen, Raptor Athletics Live, and you're exactly right, Coach. We definitely called Dominic and Tanner's names a few times during that football game this fall. The growing rivalry between Ravenwood and Centennial for basketball, I know I was there your freshman year. You guys had defeated Ravenwood twice in the regular season, and then the tournament goes down to, you know, a buzzer beater, foul, and things like that. And I was just wondering about that growing rivalry and what it means to you, because you guys see each other all around town. Well, for both.
Yeah, we'll blame that one on Coach Fay. Real bad scheduling there. You know, it's the #1 seed. We had to play back-to-back games. But no, I'm kidding. I'm sort of kidding about that. No, I mean, you know, we want to be good enough to have rivalries. That's our goal. You know, it's hard to have rivalries if you don't ever win. So we want to try to put our program out there. And, you know, our Franklin game's a great rivalry. Last year, our Brentwood games, every one of them came down to the wire. You know, Coach Whitlock does a fantastic job at Ravenwood. They've got good players. He does a good job preparing his team. You know, I think we split with them last year in the regular season, and then they beat us by 2 in the region quarterfinal game. But we would love another opportunity, I think, and I'll let Dom kind of speak to that.
You know, our rivalry teams, we all know each other, so it makes the games even more fun. So, you know, it adds more adrenaline and stuff to it. So, playing those games, it's a lot of pressure, but you know, we're just out there having fun with each other, honestly.
This is what we do. And for both coaches, next year, Centennial going to move down football-wise, but basketball is going to all be together in that one. Do you have any thoughts on that and keeping that alive?
Well, obviously in girls, that's a tough district, but we're in a rebuilding stage, and I think right now we need to focus on the now and what we're trying to do to build to get better. I mean, that's going to be a very demanding district in girls, and we look forward to the challenge, and hopefully as we move forward, we'll be able to compete in that district.
Brad DeShield, Dash to Sports, WAKM Radio in Franklin. AJ, talk about your role this year on the team. I know you've got some supporting cast going with you there, but what would you say your primary role is? What are you going to bring to the table to help get this team to the next level this year?
I'd say I have to assess who I'm working with first. Last year we had a really strong and adaptive point guard, and that's a hard shoe to fill. But we are in a rebuilding stage, and that means I gotta learn with the team. I kind of had a year of pause and reflection last year, where I learned a lot just on the bench. But I learned that I learned what I needed to be on the team, and that's the point guard that's selfless and the point guard that sets up other players. I'm not the player that hits the buzzer beater. I never have been. I don't like doing that, but I like setting up for other people. So I think that's probably my most important role, and probably leading by example. I'm not very vocal when it comes to getting onto people or doing all this stuff, but I think if I can step into those shoes, then we'll be good.
Coach Hamilton, when you do a rebuild, when you're in a rebuilding stage like that, you've lost some players, that kind of thing. What's the most important thing for you as a coach? I mean, obviously you want to get the right team on the floor, but is there anything else that goes along with that?
Well, I think the most important thing is I have to be patient and demanding, but very patient with this group. It's a fun group. I think we feel like we're getting better, and it's going to be a long season, but it's a season that we look forward to. We've got a good nucleus, and we've got some things, some pieces that really are exciting to be in our basketball program. And I'm very proud of the young ladies. They're working hard, and we've gotten off to a good start. Got a tough schedule this year and a long way to go. And we want to just try to get better, every opportunity we get.
Dominic, good question for you. First of all, congratulations on a great run this year in football. You had a great season to Centennial High School and to you yourself personally. Talk about, again, the difference. You're coming in, of course, you've been playing football. Of course, the basketball team's been playing. Now you're coming in and you're going to play basketball because you're a two-sport athlete. You've got some players coming with you. How much does that help you out? You got Kanai coming with you, a couple of the other guys coming over from the football team. Does that help you when you're basketball? Because you're friends with these guys like in both sports.
Yes, sir. We're all like brothers, so our chemistry on the football field is the exact same on the basketball court. So me, Tan, Kanai, we're just gonna do what we did on the football field. Just take care of business and have fun with each other. And adjusting to basketball, it's been a little hard, but Coach Moore, he's been guiding me all the way there, and I'm getting back in my groove, basically.
Coach Moore, expectations on this season. Obviously, you always want your expectations to go to state. That's what you want to do. That's your goal. But between now and then, what is it you really want to try to accomplish with this team as you approach the ultimate goal?
Yeah, let me go back just for a second. I want to speak on the new district question because I think that's a really big deal. And I think that's going to be great for Williamson County sports. To go back to your rivalry games, we've played all those teams ever since we moved out, but it's just a different feel when it's not a district game. It's just now when we play independence, it's completely different than it used to be. So, we're super excited to get back to great atmospheres. It's great for the student sections. It's great for the communities. So I think that's a tremendous thing for Williamson County as a community. But as far as expectations, I'm pretty simple. I learned a long time ago I'm not going to outsmart a lot of people. So we try to keep it pretty simple. And, we kind of have a saying where we want to get 1% better every day. And we don't look ahead. We're just trying, let's get better at tomorrow's practice, and then we'll get better at the next one. And I've always thought that the results take care of themselves. If you prepare the right way all year, then, we don't necessarily have to get ready for the game because we're getting ready every single day for practice. These guys lift weights every day. They're lifting on game days. They've really taken to the weight room, and I think you can look at our team and kind of see the difference over the past couple years. We're very physical, we're strong, pretty athletic. Football's a little bit different conditioning. Dom's going through that right now. Usually he's playing about 30 minutes a game. I thought he was going to pass out last night after about 20 minutes, but he's working himself through that. We just want to be the toughest team every night, most physical team every night. I think our ceiling is really high this year. I'm not a huge believer in coming out here, and I don't want to put anything on anybody's bulletin board. But, our expectations are really high. We want to have success in the postseason. We don't think, we're just a good high school team. We think in time when everybody kind of comes together, because that's the hard part. I argue with my football coach all the time. Those guys get 6-7 weeks to get started for the first game. We get 2 weeks. And a week of mine, these guys were playing playoff football. So, it's going to be 4 or 5 weeks before we really gel. And that's okay. We don't start district play until January. So we're going to try to peak mid-February to early March. But, I just think postseason success.
Dom, after accomplishing so much last year, how do you stay hungry this year, and what do you use for motivation?
Well, me personally, it was at the Wilco Awards whenever I didn't win. That right there and losing in the districts, it keeps me going every day. And, it keeps wanting me to get better and help my team win a championship, district and region.
Hey guys, Charles with the Williamson Herald. First off, Coach Hamilton, if you could kind of describe this team's makeup, the style of play you're kind of looking for, and maybe some of those names we're going to get accustomed to over the season here.
Hopefully we a team that will defend every possession, and we really going to have to do a better job of taking care of the ball and valuing the ball. I think we're going to understand our roles. I really believe that is starting to gel, and that's going to be very important moving forward. Obviously, we've got big games. Obviously Franklin game, a lot of Williamson County schools and big games, and so as we get into January, we just hope to be playing the best we can so we can compete at a high level in those games.
And for some of the girls we'll be getting accustomed to?
Obviously AJ, Addison Gorday really been shooting the ball well. Bethany Wright has done a very good job, another junior. All three of those girls are juniors. Bethany's done a very good job rebounding, defending, blocking shots. Callie Lacker's another junior. We're really junior heavy. We've got 2 really good seniors. They play super hard, Jules Garrison and Miki Mirasawa, and we're super excited about them. Our post, we're young in the post. Caroline Cokes is starting in the post right now. She's a sophomore. We've got Quincy Anderson that's a freshman. So as those post girls come along, I think you'll see us continue to get better. And I don't want to leave Kennedy Johnson out. Kennedy's got a big role for us. She's another junior.
For Coach Moore, thinking of this team, and we look around throughout the district. You look at a Brentwood, for example, with Cochran, big 6'7". You look over at Indy, they got a lot of height too. One thing, looking on your roster, seeing some of those guys, obviously super athletic, experienced here already too, but how do you make up for the lack of maybe a true post presence, or who's going to be the guy we're looking at there too?
Yeah, so our post player this year will be a senior for us, Miles Catawalla. Miles is all of about 6'2". So, we're not going to do it with size and height and things like that. We're going to do it with toughness and grit and fronting the post and working really hard down there. to keep the ball out of the post. We feel like that's a strength of our team is really post defense. I mean, we very rarely do we ever help on the post. We play one-on-one down there. So, we think we've got a pretty good defensive plan for it. We can complain about it, or we can just figure out a way to get the job done. And, the beauty of high school basketball is very few rebounds are taking it above the rim. So it really doesn't matter how tall you are. It's more about having heart and courage and a nose for the ball and wanting to rebound. I've got guys that love to rebound. And it's weird to say because it's not really not a lot of fun to do. But, I mean, we work on it every single day in practice with a drill we call WAR. And, I've got really tough kids, and they love to rebound. I mean, they get more excited over pulling a rebound than they do scoring a point. And that's really the whole team, and that's kind of what we're built on.
Thank you, Centennial. Good job. Go ahead, Coach.
Listen, I'd like to say something. This may be a little out of turn. I think Coach would agree. I can't tell you how valuable these two young student athletes are to not just athletics, to Centennial High School. I'm telling you, we depend on them. Students, faculty, Dom and AJ, and even others just do a tremendous job for our school, and I won't tell them how much we appreciate y'all for sure.
That's awesome, Coach. Appreciate that. Thank you. Good job, guys. Appreciate it. Well, that wraps it up. Our basketball media day in the books here for 22-23. And to echo what Coach Hamilton mentioned, this was something that I was going to mention in our close as well. I talk about this every year, just the poise of the young men and women who come out here. Obviously, our coaches do a great job. They're expected to do that as coaches, to get out here and talk in front of members of the media, but what they do is pretty special. I want to thank you guys for being here tonight. Certainly, we can't do what we do in Williamson County in terms of promoting our sports without you, members of the media, so thank you not only for tonight, but what you do all year. I want to thank Lance and the folks at WCTV for providing this live stream. As always, Walker Chevrolet and Brock Daly for sponsoring WCS. Tate Matthews, who couldn't be here tonight, and Adidas for what they do, and certainly was excited in Tate's absence to have Dr. Jeremy Qualls here tonight, former athletic director, current CTE director, and then our